What's going on, everybody? Welcome to our first official podcast. My name's Case, and I'm with the Lazy BQ YouTube channel. And with me, I have Jordan Adamson, who's from Jordan Adamson at YouTube.com, or the official Jordan Adamson on SoundCloud. You can look him up on there to get his videos that he posts of his awesome Golf GTI and listen to the uh, sound audio version of this podcast. I'm going to be posting this uh, more video style one, but we're only going to have it as a background until I can get some more updated hardware for my PC. But yeah, today we're going to be going over basically the best car from every brand made in the auto community. There's quite a lot of them. We have a few rules for this list. We're going to be only limiting ourselves to production brands. So brands like Roush, Amuse, Alpina, Roof, and Shelby, and stuff like that, they aren't going to be included because they are just tuning brands based off of uh, real or already production cars. Now, obviously, like the Shelby GT350 is a part of Ford, so we'll include it like that. Same the way with SRT is with Dodge and AMG is with Mercedes, Nismo's with Muse. We're going to be including those, but they're going to be under the Dodge or the main brand platform. We're not going to be including any dead brands, nothing like Saturn, Pontiac, anything like that, because we're trying to focus only on the ones that are still going on today, and that's going to help kind of cut the list down because there's quite a lot of brands. And finally, we are not going to be, I'm sorry, we're only going to be including brands that are of high production. So brands like Atom, BAC, and stuff like that will not be included because they make maybe one or two cars that are, they're really cool, but they're not seen they're not your typical car that you can just buy. They're so far out, which it's kind of rough to include other cars like Ferrari because you can't just go and buy one of those either. But you get what I mean. So, Jordan, anything you want to say before we get started? I know I've been talking for a minute.
Just excited to see what kind of opinions we got. I mean, we have a similar taste in cars, but I feel like there's gonna be some sleeper picks that neither of us would have expected on this list
Yeah,
because we didn't
we
correlate this beforehand. We just
kind of just came up with the idea. I was wanting to do a podcast for a while, and I thought
same
this would
here.
be a good idea. And then when we were discussing it, we already were thinking like, man, we're gonna have some differing opinions. So, figured it'd be a good discussion podcast. So,
Right.
you'll get to hear me and Jordan duke it out over Discord.
Right. Exactly.
All right, so I guess to get started, we're going through alphabetical order. So to get started, we're going to go with Abarth.
All right. This one's easy for me. Avalon 500. It's just something about it. They are absolute dumpster fires to keep alive. There's a reason they're so cheap. But when you get them and they run, they've got a lot of character. They sound fantastic. It's probably one of the best sounding four cylinders on sale. Sure, they're slow as dirt. I mean, they don't have a straight line top speed to save their life, but they are super agile, super cheap, hard to maintain, but super cheap, and they handle really well. And I think that's like the only way someone should buy a Fiat 500 is if they get the Abarth. Personally, in my opinion.
Yeah, it took me a second. I was like, wait, dude, we're on Abarth, not Fiat. But I realized,
Yeah,
they're
Abarth's
essentially the same thing. Yeah, no, I can agree. Abarth, the 500, honestly, the only Abarth I really know. And I really don't care about Abarth. It's not my favorite brand. I've rarely gotten any kind of experience with them, but if I could think of one off the top of my head, the 500 is going to be the one I think of. And as much as I don't like the look of them, it seems like a pretty peppy little car for what it is, and you can have a decent amount of fun out of it for, like I said, what it is. So
close second to be the 124 Abarth Spider, which I think looks better, has the
I
same motor.
that's the
It's the one based on the
almost,
Indy.
yeah, it's based on the ND. That's correct. Yeah, I actually no, yeah, I would choose that one.
Yeah.
I forgot all about that.
Only reason I go with the 500 is the 500 has more aftermarket support than the 124 did.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I
because I
wasn't
mean the
aware of
500
that.
was around a long time, and the 124 was only around for a couple years. I think it's still in
Okay.
production. If Fiat's still here, I don't know if they finally left the states
There's a
again.
few of them that go cruising down my road sometimes. The
The 124.
Yeah, the 124. But I think if it were to come down to if I were to own the car, I would do the 124. But the Abarth 500, like you said, it has a lot more of an aftermarket support, so
Yeah.
I could probably agree that would be the better one to go with for what I'd want to do. So
It looks like they're still selling cars in the States. They just don't sell the 124 anymore.
yeah, yeah,
It's,
and I tried to go through and make sure all the brands that we're looking at only like are still selling, whether it's in the States or not. It's as long as they're still selling,
yeah.
then we're in the good. So.
All right.
Okay, on to our next one. It's going to be Acura. So,
This one's tough because there's
this
so
one's going to
many
be
good
tough.
cars. There's
Yeah,
Acura has always been one of the
I've
better ones.
I personally love the new Integra over the new Type R. Something
I
about the
agree.
looks of it and the styling of it, and just how nice it looks. It's aggressive. It looks cooler than the new Type R, if you ask me.
I agree. I think the
Um,
Integra Type S is great, but
or yeah, the Type S, my bad. But yeah,
yeah, but we're ignoring the two elephants in the room here because I think I'm going to save the NSX for its home brand because the only reason it was sold here as an Acura is because for some reason they thought that was a good idea. I don't understand it, but it's just like the RSX and the Integra type thing. You know what I mean? But I
yeah,
honestly, I would leave it two pretty large elephants out of the room that are not the NSX, and that's the Integra Type R, the DC2, and the RSX Type S.
yeah,
And that's a hard one because the Integra Type R is timeless. I mean, it's a car that couldn't do any wrong. I mean,
yeah.
it
And you can do anything to it, you know.
yeah, and the B18 is no joke. I mean, it's a really good motor, but the Type S has the K20 and the good K20 at that. It's not the one that was in the EP3. So it was like, you know, it's a hard decision, honestly, because I think the DC5 looks better. I think the RSX looks better. But I think in terms of overall, what's what I'm looking for, impacts, the DC2 is probably the better car to go with. So I think I
Yeah.
am going to give the edge to the DC2 Type R. I think that would be my choice for
Now,
Acura.
now, would you do the JDM front end?
Yes.
Absolutely. All right.
I,
So I
I, I
can
don't
agree with you
mind.
on that.
I don't mind the 4i front that much. I'm not a hater of it like some people are, such as the person sitting to my right off of this podcast. But um,
If
but
you're if you're watching if you're watching my screen, everybody, you see that little Audi behind Jordan's car? Yeah, that's the guy he's talking about. It's little Mikey Mike. It's little
yeah,
Michael.
yeah, he's just vibing over here on TikTok. But yeah, I think the DC2 Type R gets the edge. I mean, if we're not including the NSX, obviously, if the NSX were here, like I said, I'm gonna leave it.
But
I'm gonna leave it with Honda because like that car was better with Honda than it was with Acura, in my opinion. Um,
yeah, and that's where it's going to be really hard to,
yeah,
because
Honda's got so many good cars, but that's gonna be later on.
yeah, if I were to, so the reason why I mentioned the new NSX, or I'm sorry, RSX, no, not RSX. Crap, the
Integra,
new Integra. The new Integra. The reason why I mentioned it is I just wanted to put out there that I do think it looks better than the new Type R.
yeah, I agree.
It's such a, I don't know. It just really started to catch my eye when they first released it. Or announced it. It was kind of meh, but now they've really done something and really changed it. But the one that started it all was the original DC2 type Integra. And I'd have to give it to that as well. It's just so moddable. I've seen how it looks with track parts on it, with street stuff on it. It's an all around really good car. The RSX Type S and all that. While you're right, they are great and they have the K20 and everything. I just feel almost kind of limited. It's a hit or miss when it comes to body kits on that car. For me, like if I were to get one, I'd mod it, and the body kits from that car are hit or miss. Like it was that early 2000s era of body kits where it was kind of meh,
Pimp my
like kind of
ride.
really really techno looking.
Yeah,
But the DC2 had so many good stuff you could do to it, and you could just swap them with every other Honda just about of that time.
right.
So I'd have to give it to the DC2 as well. Now, I just wanted to say real quick at the end of this, well, I don't know if we were still planning on doing it. We had thought about comparing
Doing a
all the way
bracket.
down to bracketing down to what our favorite car is. Try to
Right.
come to an agreement on it and everything.
It'll take us
Basically, just
hours.
it probably would. So we might save that for another time. But
Yeah.
for now, we're just going to be finding out what we can agree on the Acura. or I'm sorry, on the car brand. So the next one's gonna be, and Jordan's gonna love this because he's a pretty big fan of them, I think. The Alfa Romeo.
That one's tough. And I know I just said that for Acura, but Alpha's got a lot of really good cars. I mean, I personally wouldn't own any of them because the only one I would own is astronomically expensive. And it's going to be the one
It,
I'm going to choose. But I mean, you've got the 4C, you've got the Giulia Quadrifoglio, you've got the Giulia GTA M, you've got the GTV6, you've got the 147 GTA. I mean, you've got so many fantastic cars. But the one I'm going to give the edge to is going to be the 8C Competizione. I think that was just such a good car. And sure, it's the third of the California triad, as I like to call it. You had the Maserati Gran Turismo, the California, and the 8C. And in my opinion, the 8C looks the best and sounds the best. It's also the most expensive. If you go on a Car Gurus right now and you were to look up an Alpha 8C, a Ferrari California, and a Gran Turismo, it's going to be a bit of a staircase because I mean the Maserati is going to be the cheapest, then the California, and then the Alpha. For some reason, they just didn't build a lot of 8Cs, so they just skyrocketed in price. And I've always loved them. People don't like how they look. I mean, the round headlight thing is a bit of a hit and miss thing for everybody, but I think it looks fantastic. It's fast. It sounds good. So I'm gonna give the edge to the 8C.
yeah, I was kind of thinking about that too. Whenever it comes to Alfa Romeo, obviously the only ones I can think of are the 4C, the 8C, and the Quadrifoglio, or the Giulia. I mean, and if it were up to me, I'd choose between the 8C and the Giulia, the GTAM. But for me, for what I like in a car, the as much as cool as the 8C is with the Ferrari motor, or it's the type of Ferrari motor, right? It's the same one that's in the Maserati Gran Turismo, and
Yeah,
what
the
Ferrari is it
California.
that the California? Yeah. So as cool as it is that it has that motor and everything, it's such a like very rare type of Alfa Romeo to even find. I would have to go with the Giulia GTA M because it's got
Yeah,
all the track bits. It's everything I like in a car. It's dual clutch. I'm pretty sure.
it's a ZF
Um,
actually.
oh, so it's a ZF. Okay, so it's
To
just
understanding, I might be wrong on that.
it's still very quick with the shifts, and it's just so modern yet still. It basically showed that Alfa Romeo still had it in them to make a pretty cool like car for being gone for so long when they stopped selling in the states at least.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my pick is the Giulia GTAM. All right. Next one's gonna be the Alpine or Alpine.
I was curious if we were going to skip Alpine because that's a brand that neither of us are really super familiar with. I mean, there's only really one car to choose from because they only make one car now, the A110.
Yes, but you can choose from older cars that they don't make.
I don't like any of the old cars that Alpine
That is
made.
true. I would do the A110.
I am,
I've driven it on Gran Turismo, and while I have no personal experience with it,
yeah,
just
'cause
I've seen
they
a
aren't
lot of
sold
videos
here.
that talk about it. I mean, it's supposed to be a pretty fun daily while still being like exciting to drive, and it has a really cool look for being, simple.
It's a good alternative to the Cayman.
Yeah. See, so at least we can agree on that, right?
Yeah, I mean, we don't have much of a choice.
Yeah, really. I did originally write Ariel on my
List.
list, but then I thought about it and I was like, there's no sense if there's only the Ariel atom. So we're just not going to include that, like I said in the beginning in the rules.
Right.
So that would bring us to the next brand, which is going to be Aston Martin. Now, this one's going to be very tough for me because I love a lot of different Aston Martins. Like, there's just so many different options. So,
There's really not a
uh,
bad option.
yeah, no, I mean they're all around. They know how to make a car that's classy and great in performance.
Right.
What would your ideal Aston Martin be?
So I'm torn because, as everyone knows, for some reason, it's a hot take of mine. I love the original Aston Martin Vanquish from the early 2000s. People hated it. It apparently was super unreliable. It drove crappy. The transmission sucked. I just liked how it looked. But I think I'm going to give the edge to an Aston Martin that was actually good. I'm going to give the edge to the Vantage GT12. It was a last hurrah for what was supposed to be the last V12 Vantage. That of course changed when the new Vantage came out. Everyone was like V12 it, V12, V12, and so they stuffed a V12 into it and sold it. But originally, the outgoing V12 Vantage was supposed to be it. It's a car you covered on your channel before when you did the Caffeine and Octane asking. That was a V12 Vantage. But the
Mhm.
GT12 was a track model of that car, and they cranked it up to 11. And I don't think we got it here in the States. I think it was a Europe exclusive because, screw us, I guess.
No, that is
Um,
a road. That is the road car, though, right? Like it
yes, it
was.
is.
Okay, I was just making sure because we did also. I forgot to mention this. We also have a rule where
No race
there have to
cars.
be road cars. We're not including like the 787B and stuff like that.
Kidding. But yeah, I think I'm gonna give the advantage to the Vantage GT12. I think that's just gonna be the best choice. I mean, the GT8 was great because the V8 Astons sound incredible. I there have been so many times I've debated selling my soul and getting a V8 Vantage, just because. But I think I like the V12 just a little bit more.
Yeah, no. After especially if you haven't watched the video where I went and interviewed that guy with the V12 Vantage, um, he revved it for me, and hearing it, it sounds starts off as just like sounds like a V8 at idle, and then you can hear it really hit its higher uh sound pitch whenever it gets up in the RPMs, and it's really good sound. So I'd have to stick with their V12 honestly. Because of the size and just how it looked, and after seeing the inside and out of that car, I'd probably pick the just Aston Martin V12 Vantage. It's a beautiful car. I'm pretty sure he said it came stock with those hood vents, and that looks
Yeah,
sick in my opinion for
that's
a stock road car to come with hood vents that look as like tracky as that.
yeah. The hood
Um,
vents are a telltale sign of a V12.
and it just sounded amazing. It was stick shift. It was 6-speed manual, and it was just super classy looking and showed that you had style while still having the performance to back it up. So that's probably my choice. It's the V12 Vantage. Um,
This
so
next one's be fun.
yeah, I knew you're already looking ahead. So our next brand we're gonna be going over is Audi. And Jordan's gonna have a lot to say about this one. So Jordan, take it away, man.
Audi is, in my opinion, the best of the German brands. I know BMW cars have, and Michael's sat up over here. He already knows what's up. Well, he's actually walking. I don't know where he's going. Audi is extremely timeless to me. They've built nothing but good cars. I mean, in my opinion, sure, there's been some misses. The A2 in particular is hideous. The early 2000s A2 is just horrible, heinous car. But I'm gonna give the edge to a handful of cars here, and I'm gonna have to try to find a way to pick one. Obviously, RS6 Avant comes to mind. The R8 comes to mind. I mean, there's just so many good stuff. I have a hot take. The B9 RS5 and RS4 are fantastic. I love them. I know it's not the same screaming V8 or supercharged V6 and the S models, but I really like that model. But I think at the end of the day, it's a hard choice for me to make because the R8 is really good. It's a fantastic car, and I think it's what saved Audi's public rep in terms of building performance cars. I'm going to give the edge to the RS6 Avant. I think there is no other Audi that does it all. I mean, it's a very fast daily driver. It's a wagon. It can carry lots of things. It is stupid fast in a straight line, and with a tune, you can make up close to 900 horsepower. I mean, it is such a fast car with just a couple of bolt-ons. They handle really well. We took a trip to Tail the Dragon. You guys may have seen it on Cason's channel or mine if you watch mine. There was an RS6 out there tearing it up. He made us look like we were driving slow. Granted, I was driving slow, but the RS6 Avant is literally just the ultimate do-it-all car. There is not any other car that does it better than the RS6, in my opinion, in terms of just being all around. So that'll be my choice.
Yeah, I mean, I can't blame you there. That's a pretty one. Whenever that car came out, everyone was just going nuts over it, and there was just so many things talking about it, and how well it did. Um, for me, for my choice, it was between three cars. It would be between the RS3, the newest one with the 5-cylinder turbo.
Yeah, the AY.
Um, The 2015 Audi RS5 Coupe, which comes with the, I believe it's a twin turbo V8. It's not super,
No,
it's
it's an
twin
A.
turbo.
It's an A.
Okay, it's NA. I thought there
Yeah.
was one that came with twin turbo. So okay, I was
Nope.
wrong there.
Twin
So
turbo
uh,
V6.
that's right. Okay, so yeah, this one's an NA V8, which is, even though it's NA, it's still got plenty of
Screams.
power. It packs. And then it was for the last choice was going to be, I'm not sure what year it is because I don't study these cars very much as I actually do. Like I'm starting to really like them. Uh, it was going to be one of the uh, Audi R8s with the V10.
Hmm.
I would not do one of the newest ones because while they look amazing, they just don't seem to do as well as you'd want them to do for the money. But when it comes down to it, as much as I wanted to pick something with a higher displacement, really came down. I really just want an RS3 with the Turbo 5.
Yeah, the
Um,
RS3 is great.
it's small, it's nimble, it's a sedan, so you can have your friends in the car and go out, on a trip, and then you just have so much go. And it's because of its lighter weight than most of Audi's other cars. It's got that extra bit of handling. You can do an easy amount of tuning. Um, and it comes with the Quattro package. So it's just an amazing car in my opinion. It's an all around car, just like the R6 Avant. But I prefer the look of the smaller sedan like that. So yeah, RS3 is gonna be my choice.
And I think that wraps up the A's.
Yep, we are done with the A's. All the rest of them, there's a lot of A's after that,
Yeah,
which
but none of these are
there's
brands we're familiar with or dead.
yeah, they're all when clicked on most of them when I was researching these, they all were very classic European cars and definitely don't make a car anymore.
Yeah,
So now we're starting on to the B section of this list, which is going
very
to start off
small
with,
category.
it is a very small category. There's only about four
4.
that I could actually click on or that we could actually go over. So starting off, we're going to go with Bentley. Personally, I'm gonna be honest. I don't even know anything about Bentleys.
I do.
I know I'm sure you do.
Volkswagen brand, you know.
I'm just not a huge fan of like Bentleys. Just remind me of a slightly cheaper what's it called, Rolls Royce. Like how like they're styled and stuff. They for some reason they just remind me of that, and I'm just not a big fan of pure luxury car. I prefer my cars to be a mix of luxury and performance or all performance. So I'm just gonna look up the first Bentley Motors car that I can find. Oh, it's an SUV. All right, so I guess I'm picking an SUV. No, I'm
Oh
just
my
kidding.
gosh. So you're going to go the Bentayga?
What's the sedan that almost looks like a Chrysler 300?
Oh, the Flying Spur.
Sure, I'll choose that one. I don't know anything about them, unfortunately. I know they pack some pretty big punch with their are they V8s or are they V12s
They're
or V
W12s.
W12s? Oh yeah, that's right.
It's two
Uh,
VR6s stabbed together.
yeah. So oh well, that explains why you love them or like a few of
Yup.
them. Which I'm pretty sure, didn't you? Oh no, you told me not to do Rolls Royce. But
Well, yeah,
anyways,
Rolls Royce is difficult.
but yeah, I'm gonna have to go with whatever one you just said. So, Jordan, what Bentley would you be choosing?
So I'm trying to find the exact one. I had to actually go look this up. So it's a limited production car again, but it's the most track oriented Bentley they ever sold. It's technically a road legal race car in a way. It's very much like a GT3 RS kind of thing. And the name's even similar. I'm going to choose the Bentley Continental GT3R. It's not talked
I,
about a whole
okay,
lot.
I think I know what you're talking about. Actually, I'm pretty sure I have a Hot Wheels of that car.
People
Now that I
gave
think
it
about it, I would actually choose that car because that one, like you said, it's actually got some trackability to it.
right.
So
It's got no back seat. I mean that's kind of huge for a Bentley, you know.
yeah,
But that's my choice. It's a it's a W12 car. As Kason said, I mean, it's just a real. Oh, actually, I'm wrong. It's a V8 car. I just looked that up. I am wrong.
okay, okay,
So
yeah.
it's a V8. So shocker, I'm not picking the W12. um, but it's a super track oriented car. They're super rare, super limited production. and it's just they're fast. I mean, they're really good track cars for a Bentley. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're putting a GT3 against it, it's going to smack it. But if you want a Bentley and you want to go faster on a track, that's the one you buy.
Yeah, sounds like it with what all it includes in that package, the GT3R and all that. But yeah, if I knew more about them, I would study up on them and actually talk about them. But like I said, I don't know. Every time I've seen a Bentley, it's just not been a car that I've been like, "Ooh, I want that when I look
Right.
or when I." I can think of a lot of other ways I would want to spend my money. Nothing wrong with Bentley. It's just not my personal preference.
Yeah, super high end luxury cars isn't my thing either. I like having a good middle ground, like something that's luxurious but also sporty,
Yeah, exactly.
such as our next brand
Um,
probably gonna be going to.
yeah. Which is going to be BMW, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Whenever you said that, I was thinking about. I was like, wait a minute. Okay. So yeah, BMW. Now I know a bunch of BMWs I could really choose from. Honestly, there's so many that have like made a mark on just the performance side of automotive. When it comes to the original M3 and the is it the CSL? Isn't that what it's called? CLS?
You CSL.
CSL. That's right. I always mix those up. But going from there all the way up to the newest ones, they still are just insanely powerful cars, fun to drive. They do get outpaced by Porsches and stuff like that a lot, but they're still really cool. But for me, I would just go with an all around E92 M3, the coupe. I would do it. It's hard to choose because I've never had a DSG, and I know that you can get them in manual or DSG. But I'd probably get it in a manual because if I could have a V8 like that, that's that high revving, and be able to push the clutch in and shift at that point, I feel like that just feels amazing to do in a car like that. And they're very stylish. They look aggressive, and that you can do like just a few carbon bits on the front lip and rear and stuff like that, and you're good to go. You don't have to do anything to them hardly. Throw some BBS LMs on it,
Yes, sir.
good to go. So yeah, E92 M3. Gotta love that V8. I'm sure Jordan's might have an inline six. Go ahead, Jordan.
You're actually, you could be partially wrong. So my first choice, I was leaning towards. I was still, obviously E92 is timeless. I mean, it's a great car. But I was thinking about the M4 GTS. I mean, the only thing holding it back for me is that they were so hard to find, and in my opinion, they didn't do enough to make it better or make it compete with its competitors. I mean, it's still a great track car and it's great, but I think the water methanol system was a miss. A lot of people are going to hate me for that,
Uh,
but I think it's just complicated for the average person who's spending the 100 plus grand to get an M4 GTS to want to keep up with because
yeah, I
you
can
know
agree with that.
your rich people aren't going to be like, I need to take care of this. I mean, yeah, you're going to have some, but the average person looking at it be like, man, that's a really like super expensive rare spec BMW. I want it, and it'll sit in the garage, and then it'll run out of methanol, and they'll just not like it, and they'll be like, oh, well my car's slow, so I'm just going to sell it. You know what I mean? So I'm actually going to go with a similar era to what you went with, but I'm going to go with a car that I've nearly bought several times. I've literally had the opportunity to buy one of these a handful of times, and I've never taken it. E60 M5. It's a hot take
Okay.
because some people don't like how the V10 sounds, and I don't understand it. I think it was a great sounding car, such as the person off to my right over here who doesn't like how those M5 sound. Um, the SMG is a junk transmission. It's terrible. If you could find a manual one, it's great. Sure, they are horribly unreliable. There's a reason you can pick them up for 15 grand now, but I've just haven't been able to find a car that is one as powerful for the price, but it's two just has the character. I mean, I think it's probably the cheapest V10 car you can buy that isn't an Excursion or an F250. Um,
Yeah, and it's
it's
at
got
least some
lots of
sort of
luxury.
defense.
Yeah, it doesn't look bad. Like it's a pretty, I'd say it's middle ground. Like it's not ugly, but it's not like breathtakingly beautiful either. And so that'd be my choice. I think I'd just go E60 M5. I think in my opinion, it's peak M5. I
Yeah,
think the
that's
M5 went down after it. They're kind of up
yeah.
now, but you know.
I have a buddy that's got an M5 with the twin turbo V8, and it's pretty rowdy. But I mean, that car really cemented the M5. I feel like as a cool like to include that kind of motor in a car for that kind of price is pretty cool.
Right.
Um, and you can't go wrong with it. I mean, obviously you can with when it comes to repairs and stuff, but I think it's a good choice. What's funny is I actually have a E39 2001 BMW M5 sitting next to me in Hot Wheels. It's pretty sick to look at. So,
Yeah. That's
um,
a good looking car.
yeah, that one's cool. That was one of my favorite M5s. That one just had a simple V8 though, right?
Yeah. It might have been twin turbo. I don't remember. I have to look it up again.
I
No, it
think it
was
might
an
have
A.
been NA. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
it
pretty
was
sure it
an
was
A.
NA. That was
I was
going to be
thinking the
one of my second
S4.
choices because it was a classy, like it had a style to it where it looked like you had money, but it was also a V8 and it was a simple kind of looking sedan, but something about it just styled really well. But overall, yeah, my choice gonna have to be the E92 M3 when it comes to BMW. That's just always that's one of my goal cars to own at some point. Even though I mean, even your BMW and the BMW that I'm wanting, they both have their fair share of issues.
Yeah, plenty.
Yeah. So on to the next brand, and this is going to be a brand that every fanboy is going to go crazy over, and it's going to be Bugatti. Um, now, everyone either thinks of when they think of Bugatti, they think of the Veyron Supersport, or they think of
The
the
Chiron.
Chiron,
Yeah.
or anything newer. Basically, there's a lot of teenagers out there just going, "Ah." But for me, it's going to have to be the Bugatti EB 110 SS. Uh, the car is just classic looking, and it was kind of the start of Bugatti really being like all about like really just performance. It had such a cool motor. The styling on it, like with I'm looking at a picture of it right now. There's a quarter glass window kind of area where it's got these like 4 or 5 holes that I don't know, just look like honeycomb in a way. The way that looks is just so cool in my opinion. The car just started the whole modern styling of Bugattis, and I mean that's just where it all comes from. So that's my choice in Bugatti for sure. The EB 110 SS. What are you thinking, Jordan?
All right, this will be a short one because I agree entirely. That was my choice too. I was leaning towards the original Veyron, but I because of just the factor it had on history.
Yeah,
Um, but the EB110 is legendary, and I agree entirely. That was gonna be my choice too. So super short segment.
super.
Yeah, I know. I was struggling with that one.
Yeah. Whenever it comes to the EB 110, it was between the SS and the GT, which I'm looking at pictures of both right now. The GT has a cool stance to it where it looks like it's just ready to pounce, but the SS included those quarter window holes that just really stand out to me. So that's why I chose that one specifically. But
Right.
yeah, EB 110 SS is probably the best one or my favorite Bugatti they've ever made. Now, the last one on the B section is going to be Buick. Now,
Boring.
anything modern, yeah, absolutely boring. Anything modern just doesn't stand out to me right now. I mean, maybe when I have kids or grandkids, I might want one, but not right now. I'm gonna have to do the good old Grand National.
Yep. Same here. All right, let's move on.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, going on to the C section. Not like giving birth that way. Going to
Wish I
going
had a
to
soundboard right now
C.
for that one.
What'd you say?
I wish I had a soundboard right now for that one.
Yeah. We're gonna go on to Cadillac. Now, Cadillac has some pretty baller cars.
Yeah, I mean they didn't really get cool until recently.
Yeah, yeah, I can agree. And they
So
only have either
they
they
have
only have a
three
total
cool
of two.
models. They've got three cool models if you include the Escalade V.
No, I don't care about the Escalade. No, for
Really?
me, it's like they've always only had two cars. It was either the CTSV or the ATSV, or now it's
CT5V
the
and CT4V.
CT5. Yeah, and then the Blackwing, which is still just CT5V, but a little bit cooler. Um, for me, it'd be the last year that they did the CTSV.
The V3.
Um, yeah, it just that styling. I saw it whenever I went to the Atlanta Auto Show for that last year. I forget what year it came out. But I went to the Atlanta Auto Show and I saw it in person, sat in it, everything. And that car just is styled so aggressively. It looks so cool. It's got this 90-degree kind of spoiler that's made of carbon fiber on the back. The edges on the front bumper are just so sharp. And it's got that amazing V8. So that car just is the best Cadillac in my opinion. The new CT5, it doesn't look that great to me. I don't know why. It still looks very boaty. Um, it's like almost like a stretched out almost version of the CTSV, but the headlights just don't really do it for me. I don't know. But yes, for me it'd be the CTSV, the last generation of it, the V3. What about you, Jordan? What you thinking?
Same. I agree. The CTSV V3 is the best.
Hell yes. Glad we're starting to agree on some shit, man.
I know. I mean, it's crazy. We only have like one other. Well, I mean, I don't know anything about Citroen, but Chrysler's I think is or no Chevrolet, Chrysler and Chevrolet. I mean,
No, we're doing Citroen.
we're all doing Citroen.
Yeah, just because I mean,
They're
I
still
mean,
alive.
they're still alive and they are mass production cars. They're going to be kind of like Bentley for me. I don't know jack about them, but
That's censorship. You
uh,
caught it. Okay.
yeah. um, we're gonna go on to Chevy now. There's only one car I can really think of that just draws my attention whenever I think of Chevy, and that's going to be the Camaro ZL1 1LE. That's just the one I think of. You can take it down a back road going crazy, have fun. You can take it to a track. You can daily drive it. I'm sure it's not amazing to daily drive, but I'm sure it's
True.
better than other cars, you know? I mean, nothing could be worse than my Del Sol, honestly. It's pretty rough. Or my G. Um, what about you, Jordan?
So, normal circumstances, I'd agree. I've even sat in a ZL1 1LE. I've never driven it, but I've sat in one, and they're fantastic. Just the feeling of being in one. But there's a big elephant in the room, and that's the C7 ZR1. It does everything the 1LE did and cranked it up to 11. You had the
That
L25.
is
You
very
had
true.
you had the even more aggressive Arrow. You had just an all around perfect Corvette. And in my opinion, until the C8 really comes out with a C8 ZR1, it's the last best Corvette. I think the C8 Z06 is great and all. I'm still having a hard time coming to terms with it being mid-engined. As much as I
Yeah.
like it, like I don't mind it. It's just I'm not used to it yet. You know what I mean?
No, I
But
definitely
and the
agree.
flat plane's weird too to hear out of a Corvette. But I get what they're doing. They're trying to compete with Europe, and they're doing it pretty well. I mean, the C8 Z06 is no slouch, but I'm going to give the C7 Z01 the edge just because I think it's perfect. I think this is just peak Corvette.
Yeah. Whenever I thought about it, I was thinking about Corvettes as well. I love the C6 ZR1 or the ZR1. I love the C7 ZR1. I love all of those. C7 was the last great Corvette to me. The new Z06 I think is an awesome car, but it's not gonna top the C7 in my opinion.
Yeah,
The C7 Z06 or the ZR1.
yeah.
Um, like you said, I'd have to see kind of what that looks like when they make a ZR1 for the C8, but the C7 ZR1, it's a very cool car. I think it looks awesome and I think it performs great. The only issue I have is it does kind of have a bit of a ugly look to the front end to it for me.
The C8 is
It's
kind
got
of
a
a mixed bag.
no, the C7
Oh, the
ZR1.
C7 Z01.
The ZR1 has like that hump, which I'm guessing is for the supercharger,
Yeah,
but it or maybe to help increase aero as well, but it's something about that hump doesn't fit for me.
right.
I don't think it's horrible. I just it when I see it, it's like but the car's an amazing car. But when I think of a car that just looks good, sounds good, performs good, and it's very capable for being one of my originally most hated cars ever. I used to hate the Camaro. The ZL1 1LE really stole my like attention when it came to Chevy. So that's one of my goal cars as well. Is like if I can afford it, I would love to get one. Highly doubt it's ever going to happen, but that'd be really exciting to have. So but yeah, I can agree with you on the C8 thing. It's just the styling's a little off for me. I don't know what about it.
I don't mind the back. The
I
fronts,
do actually.
the fronts where it's like I have issues with it.
It's the side for me looks good. The front and the back look weird. The headlights look weird. The taillights look all right, but the exhaust tips, how they made them squares, I don't like
Yeah,
that. It's very
that's an
like
odd
not
choice.
modern. I don't like that. So yeah. But you had a good choice. I definitely I've been driving that on Gran Turismo recently, the CE7 ZR1, and I'm having a lot of fun with that. But now onto a brand that I couldn't give two shits about. It's gonna be Chrysler.
Next,
Yeah, it's gonna be the probably just the 300C. I
can
don't
I
know.
can I like skip this one because I don't like any Chryslers.
Yeah, I'm choosing
There's
just
not. I'll choose to walk. I think is what I'll choose.
cool. Yeah, I
I'll
think
choose
I'm gonna
I'll
choose the
choose my
same
Nike
thing.
shoes over here.
Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna choose the walk as well. Actually, all right. So on to Citroen.
See, now this is
No,
a brand we never got here, and
yeah,
it,
no,
it, it makes it really tricky to pick one. But I think we should make an exception on the race car rule here because I
yeah,
really don't know
because
anything about Citroen outside of their rally program.
yeah, that is true. I was gonna say they're very known for their rally. Other than that, though, I'm
I
not
don't know them
sure.
here. We don't get
Uh,
them.
they do make a car that's very similar styled. If you click on the link to that name, to Citroen, and you scroll down to the 2010 Servolt Citroen, it looks almost like a Chiron, Bugatti Chiron.
Which one?
Scroll. So did you click on Citroen?
Yeah.
Scroll down until you see the
Oh, the
2010
Servolt.
Servolt.
Yeah, that's
Looks
a
like it's got the side
concept.
profile of a. It's got the side profile of a Chiron.
Right. I'm gonna give the edge to the XR rally car from the early 2000s.
Okay,
It was like the only car in WRC at the time that was front wheel drive, but it was still really fun. I loved it in Gran Turismo.
I got you. I think I'm gonna stick to a rally car, but I'm gonna choose a more modern one. 2010 DS3R3.
That's a good one.
That one that one looks really cool. I had apparently it was sponsored by Red Bull. So that's pretty cool. But like he said, I don't know nothing about Citroen.
We didn't get him here.
They have some cool rally cars, but as far as I'm aware, that's really it. So I should have wrote that down. I'll go back to it later. So all right. So now we're on to the D category. Blah, blah. So like I said, we're gonna start off this one with Dodge. Now that's gonna include
Next.
SRT. That's gonna include Ram. Hey man, there are some cool Dodge. You even named one.
I know. I'm just being dumb. I don't like
I
Mopar.
was about to say. Yeah, I don't. I'm not a fan of Mopar. I know that probably offends Michael, but I'm not a fan of Mopar either. But they did make some early, like, or some pretty cool cars that weren't part of the boat gang. So go ahead. Let me see what your thoughts are. What you thinking?
So the cop out choice would be the Viper, but I'm gonna do something a little bit different. I'm gonna go with the Neon SRT4. I think that America's attempts at building tuners was probably their most experimental era. I mean, at the time. I mean, the Mustang was archaic. Dodge wasn't building a Charger at the time. The Camaro didn't exist, so they were really trying to experiment with new things. And I think that's why the SRT4 Neon is great. I think out of all the American tuner cars, is the one time I'll put a Dodge ahead of a Chevy and a Ford. The SRT4 Neon just did it. I mean, it was great. It made good power. It had a really good powertrain. Sure, it wasn't a Dodge engine. It was a Mitsubishi motor, but it was still really fun. They've got a ton of aftermarket. They're very fast if they run.
Yeah.
But I think that'll just be my choice because I think everyone want to say, oh the Viper, but I personally think the Viper is a cop out choice for this kind of video.
Hey man, stop
I
making
know you're
comments
probably
like
gonna
that.
pick the Viper, but I think the Neon SRT4 was just great because of the ideology behind it. I mean, Dodge was trying something new, and that's something they don't do now. They just stuff the Hellcat motor and
Oh
everything and
yeah,
expect it to work. But in the early
yeah,
2000s,
no,
they were experimental. They wanted to try new things, and that's why I think the SRT4 gets the edge.
yeah. The SRT4 Neon. Don't get me wrong, I love that car. I used to know a guy that had one. Whenever we used to go to the Busta Mafia meets, he was pretty cool, and I think sounded really rowdy.
The
They just
white
had a
one,
lot of issues. Yeah, the white one. He was in a video of mine, I think,
I
from Busta
remember.
Mafia when it was at the body shop. They had a lot of issues, and I mean, while that's every Dodge, that one just was, it definitely had a lot more than what I would want in a car. It was very cool for the styling and everything. It could have included a lot more interior wise from what I've seen in videos and stuff. And like you said, that was when Dodge was doing their experimental thing with tuners. They also did the RT like uh, caliver. and the Avenger RT or SRT and all that stuff, SRT fours, all that stuff, you know.
Right.
But whenever I think of those American tuner cars, I think of either the
The
Fiesta
Cobalt.
ST or I think of the Cobalt SS. Which, if I'm being honest, I wouldn't even choose that. I'd choose the Saturn Ion Redline. I love that car. I think it was cool, but too bad they're dead. So for me, I'm gonna choose, and this isn't a cop out choice just because it's the name. You know, ooh, Viper. I'm gonna choose the Viper ACR. It's gonna be probably the final one they made. Reason why is because that's just the most they did the most to it to really give it a send off. They also improved the most on that one compared to the last ones, which had a lot of issues in terms of like killing you.
Yep.
Um, so whenever I think of Dodge, I think of like SRT. I think of the SRT 10 Viper ACR. That car is just so cool in my opinion. So
Is that
that would
it?
be my.
Is that it for the D's?
No, there's one more that I chose.
Did you pick Daihatsu?
Yeah. I just looked them up real quick. I just looked them up, and God, they're so ugly. But I'm gonna go ahead and say for Daihatsu. Hold on. Don't you say nothing, Jordan. I think I've got one.
I swear, if you say the Copen, we're gonna have issues.
This is the. Uh, doesn't say the name of the car. It really doesn't say the name of the car. Are you kidding me? I see a hatchback. On the here and after, huh? I
Bro.
don't know. I don't. Maybe it's the Astra. I think that's what it's called. I don't know.
Uh,
PT Astra Daihatsu.
sure.
Maybe that's what it's called. I don't know. It looks pretty modern. Looks all right.
I'll look at it and see if I'll click on their link and see what they've got.
Oh, it's not on the link. I had to look it up
Oh,
separately. Their link is screwed up on there. It pulled up a whole different motor company for me whenever I clicked on it.
yeah.
Honestly, if you really don't want to look it up, you can just skip over it. I just thought that'd be
No,
funny because you wanted me to surprise you with brands
that
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 you
was
didn't
a
think I'd.
surprise choice. That was a
Yeah,
surprise choice.
yeah.
I'm not the biggest Daihatsu fan. I mean, like we don't get them here for one thing, but obviously
And they're
we played Gran
ugly as
Turismo.
hell.
Yeah, we played Gran Turismo growing up, so we got very familiar with them then. So I'm gonna pick one that was kind of one of the starter car choices in GT3. Um, Astoria X4. Just that's the best one I can come
Okay,
up with. It's the only one that's not horrendously ugly to me. I think the Copen is just a cheap Beetle knockoff. So the story will get my
okay.
choice.
I got you. I got you. Yeah, that's not a bad choice. I was thinking back to Gran Turismo and everything too, and I couldn't think of what they were called because I never picked them. So
There's
but yeah, that's gonna do it for the D section. Now we're on to the F section.
yeah, as
So
I
we
said, there's
skipped
nothing in
E.
E. Yeah,
There's
everything's
nothing in
dead.
E. Everything in E is either dead or just
A
not.
coach
They're
builder.
like, yeah. So we're gonna start with F, which is gonna lead us off into
Uh,
Ferrari.
we're gonna be on a tangent on this one because there's so many cars to
There's
pick here.
so many, bro.
Now, a hot take I'm gonna start with right away. I am one of like the 5 people that likes the California. I was looking at
I
him this
do
morning.
think it's California.
I was looking them up this morning because I was like, how cheap are these things? Because I love how they sound, and I find them generally attractive cars. I like obviously when you look at the rest of Ferrari's lineup, I mean, it's not the best looking thing in the world, but I really do like it. But there's one in particular that always seems to be overlooked, in my opinion, and it's a fairly new one, but it's always overlooked by the Halo cars, the LaFerrari, the Enzo, the F50, and the F40, which probably would be my choice, the F40. Um, but I'm going to kind of give the edge to something different. I think I'm going to give the edge to the 812 TDF. It's a car that was more meant to be a performance version of the 812. Um, and I think it was just, always or F12, excuse me, F12 TDF.
Okay. Okay, I
Um,
see that.
yeah,
That's
I was
actually a
thinking of
pretty
the 812
badass Ferrari.
Superfast. I was thinking of the
That's
812 Superfast, but it's the F12
yeah,
TDF.
the
Um,
F12 PDF.
right. And I think it was just an absolutely amazing car.
That car, yeah, no. I remember seeing that car in I think either California or Miami, and that car just sounds insane. It's such a cool and for it being kind of a weird style where it's almost hatchback coupe. It's
You're
very
thinking of the FF, then the FF was a shooting brake.
no, it definitely has a
Has a
hatchback
bit of a
look,
slope
or
back
it
to it,
almost looks
but
like it's got like a Corvette kind of style to it.
yeah.
Almost looks like a C7. No, I can dig that choice. That's a pretty solid choice if you ask me. For me though, let me look this up just to make sure I get the name right because it's hard to. It's kind of.
You got an oddball one?
Yeah, it's gonna be the Ferrari 550 Maranello.
Yeah, figured that. We were talking
Figured.
about that yesterday
Oh yeah,
or Friday.
yeah.
Yeah,
The reason why is because that one. So real quick, when you talk to me about Ferrari, I think when they released the La Ferrari, that was peak Ferrari, not peak, but like that was the last good Ferrari in my opinion. All the new ones don't mean anything to me, and the only reason why I really like or kind of include the La Ferrari in the lineup of Ferraris that I would say are pretty cool is because lead singer of Van Halen, what's his name? I
Freddie
can't remember
Eddie
his
Van
name.
Halen.
No, not Eddie Van Halen was a guitarist.
Oh,
I can't remember his name off the top of my head right now because I'm trying to think of it, obviously. But he has a limited edition, like it's literally a one of one cream LaFerrari, and it looks so cool.
yeah,
Um, that car, like when you throw a color like that on there, it made it look so cool. And ever since I saw that, whenever the car first came out, I was like, okay, I was like, I can dig it. But no, after that, Ferrari just kind of they're just not doing it for me anymore, and they rarely did it for me before. But whenever I think of a cool Ferrari, it's got to be the mids to early 2000s, and that's going to include the 550 Maranello. That's a car that I've seen someone turn into a JDM styled track car, and you can just do a lot of cool things to it with that kind of body shape and style that they went with. And I'm pretty sure it's got a V12, yeah, 5.5 liter V12.
yep,
So for its weird styling and everything, you still get the V12. I'm sure it's not one of the more expensive ones. You know, you can probably I could probably pick one up for around 100 grand.
yeah,
Um, so that's my choice. I think I did like your choice though because that car like it's one of the more expensive ones, but that was when Ferrari was still doing their peak thing. You know,
yeah.
that was a very good choice.
Fiat, I
Uh,
feel like we've already kind of chose when we were at
yeah,
Abarth.
500. Yep. Yeah. So we'll
We can
just
skip over that one.
skip over that one and go on to Ford. Now, Jordan, I know your favorite Ford is going to be the Sport Track, so I'll just go ahead and skip that one.
No, no, I don't like my cars burning on. You nearly burning themselves down. Um, Cop out choice for this one. I said I was going to do a cop out choice for Dodge. I'm going to cop out on this one. The new 4 GT.
The
Enough
new
said.
Ford GT. Okay.
Enough said on that one.
Okay. What's crazy is I've seen one in person, and I've actually the owner of where I work has a friend that has one. He rolled up, and it has the cool carbon fiber. They almost look like work Kiwami wheels. Pretty cool car. Whenever you see it pull up, it's like jaw dropping. But
Yeah.
this is gonna be a hard one for me, just because when it comes to Ford, there's so many cars from the tuner all the way up to the V8s and the kind of exotic styled cars like the Ford GT. I would have to go with the GT40.
Go
Um,
old school. I like it.
Old school. I love I stood up next to one in person, and it's like almost
So
below
short.
my waist.
That's where the 40 comes from.
And it just that's where it all kind of began, or not all began, but that was one of the ones that just really. Yeah. Wait, is that the one that where it all began? No, because they
Yeah, it
started on
was.
that was.
Yeah, the GT40 had like several different variations,
Let me make sure
but
I'm.
it was always the GT40. I don't think Ford did a GT before the GT40.
Yeah, because before that it was the actual Le Mans race car.
Well, that the one that you probably seen was, probably a rep of the actual race car, but
Yeah, no, the GT40. Well, maybe if you
you're
just look
thinking
up.
of the other variations of the GT40. There was like several
Yeah,
different redesigns of it.
yeah, I think I'm thinking of just the regular old.
The original Mark One GT40, but
Yeah,
you know,
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. That car just even if it was a rep that I saw in person, is still like pretty cool to see.
oh yeah,
And a car that small deserves to be driven. So, um, in height, that is. But yeah, that's gonna do it for the F section. If you look through, do you see any other brands that I might have missed in the F section by chance?
I don't see any.
Okay, cool. So we're gonna go on to GMC, and we're gonna end it there and go on to H. So let's go on to H. I don't really care for GMC. They're just rebadged Chevys, and yeah.
Yeah.
So starting off with H, we're gonna go to Hennessy.
They've only made one car though.
That is true. I didn't think about that. That's the Venom.
And next.
That's also a Lotus. That's also a Lotus.
It's a
So
Lotus with a Chevy motor in it. Is what
yeah,
effectively
we're
what they've
gonna
done.
leave out the Hennessy. So my apologies on that. I wasn't following my own rules. I think I wrote that down before I actually made the rule.
Probably
Same thing with the
with
Ariel.
Ariel. Yeah.
So we're gonna go on to Honda. So
We're just gonna
or
skip Holden like that.
I thought
We're gonna.
Holden wasn't around anymore. When I looked it up, they were
Oh
done.
yeah, yeah, they are. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, man. I tried to do my research.
Yeah, that
I
is
made
that.
sure
I
before
forgot
their
that was
last
the
plant
rule.
closed.
2018 or something like that.
Yeah, something like
Recent.
that. 2018, or 2020 it was. I don't know. But yeah, so they're gone. But we're gonna
Yeah.
have to start this off with Honda.
Dang,
So
that's a
Jordan, tell
shame.
us about your choice in Honda.
Man, Honda is like they've got too many good cars because it makes it really
Really
hard to
do.
choose. I mean,
It
you've got
does.
the EK9 Type R, you've got the FK2 Type R, the FK8 Type R, the new one, the FL. I think it's FL5. It's the new engine code or chassis code. You've
Not
got
sure. I think
you
you're right
know
though.
the OG Integra before it was an Acura here in the states. Um, the S2000. I mean, you can't leave that one off. That car is a
Yeah,
legend.
yeah.
But there's a car that's a bit more of a legend, and this is going to be where I bring the NSX in. I'm going to choose the NSX Type R or NSXR uh, because it was just the most insane version of the NSX. And I mean, there's really not much I can really say outside of that. I mean, it's just the NSX was going to win this challenge regardless when it came to Honda for me. It was just a matter of which one.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, and you could do the was it the Tommy Mackinnon edition and everything too on that,
Tommy
and make it.
Mackinnon's an Evo.
Was it? Oh yeah, you're right. What's the guy that didn't they
Ayrton
do
Senna.
a? That's right, the Ayrton Senna edition where it includes that crazy body kit and everything. Um, that one, that one's pretty cool. But I'm gonna have to cop out and choose a cop out choice. Like you kind of chose the NSX. I'm gonna have to choose the Honda S2000, but I'd choose the AP2.
Really? Hot take.
Yeah. It's just as good if you ask me. And it's slightly
Safer.
yeah, slightly safer. And
Well,
I
where's
don't
the
know.
fun in that?
Well, if
I've
that's the case, why didn't you choose a freaking Viper?
I don't know. That's honestly a good question. But anyway, continue.
Yeah, no, the AP2. So I own a Del Sol, and that's a fun car already. And I hear some people call it the Poor Man's S2000, even though it's front wheel drive. Um, it's your coupe, your that's drop top capable and all that stuff. Um, but as much as I love the Del Sol, there's so many better choices out there. And whenever I think of an S2000, that's the car I'd want.
Right.
I'd actually take care of that car.
Right.
Like, I'm pretty sure my Del Sol has no oil in it right now, and it's
Oh, good
holding up
gosh.
apparently. But yeah, so S2000 and NSX. Who would have thought we would have chose some cop out choices right there?
Yeah,
But
yeah, super easy.
it was and I'm a big fan of the EP3 as much as you don't really care
I
for
like
them.
the EP3. I just don't like the motor they
It's
put
an
in it.
odd choice. Yeah, no, the motor's meh,
And the
but
SI at least.
styling of it, I love that it strictly came with a hatchback, and I love them in white. They look so good in white. They look like a Type R.
The shifter's
Uh,
weird.
the shifter is weird, but I heard it's actually really fun to drive.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
Oh,
that's gonna be it for Honda. Oh wait, did you have something else you were gonna say?
no.
Oh, okay.
I think we're
That's
just
gonna be it
moving
for
on to the we've only
Honda.
got
Yeah,
one other H option.
which is gonna be Hyundai. Now, there's only a couple of Hyundais I can really think of that I care for, and that's gonna be either the Genesis Coupe with the 3.8. I don't care for the 2.0T as much as I'd like. I mean, as much as I think it's cool, I'd rather have 3.8 all day. Or the Veloster N. I don't really care for the Elantra N. It's meh, in my opinion. Styling's kind of off for me. So if I were to choose between those two cars, probably have to be the God. Ron's gonna cream himself when I say this. It's gonna be the Veloster N.
And I'm about to uncream him because I'm going to say the Tiburon GT.
God, no!
Kidding,
I
kidding.
had a neighbor that had one of those and tried to say that he was gonna race me in my G35, and
They make 180 horsepower.
I was like, "Are you really threatening me with a Tiburon, bro?"
So yeah, Tiburon GT. Anyway, I'm kidding. I'm gonna go with the Genesis 3.8. That was the car that really got me into Hyundai as a brand.
Oh yeah,
Obviously we had a friend that had one, and
mhm.
I loved it. I loved that car. He's got an AP1 S2000 now, and as much as I love that car, the Genesis really just is. It was not only the car I met him with, but
When he had that car, that thing was beautiful. Like it
yeah,
was so
and the
clean,
sound,
sounded
man.
amazing. I was so
No
jealous because I
offense.
had a full exhaust on my G35, and I thought his car sounded amazing, like much better than my car all day. And I was
Yeah,
like, damn, I wish my car would sound like that.
no offense. The 3.8 Genesis motor sounds better than the VQ. I know you own one.
Yeah,
Hot
no,
take.
yeah, it's pretty up there, you know.
Yeah.
It also depends on what exhaust though, because
Well,
same
the
thing
one
with
that he
VQ.
had was great, but
Yeah,
we've heard some pretty rough sounding 3.8s over the years.
yeah, and like there was one um at Import Alliance that was drifting, and it had the street version of the exhaust he had of
Yeah,
what Hayden had, and it sounded even better. Like it was just perfect. Sounded like a GTR.
yeah.
It sounded so good. But yeah, I've heard some that sound absolute dog water. So yeah, no, I think I would have chose that honestly, but the VN, I've just after driving it and everything, I could see where this got much more potential to have fun out the box. Yeah, I
Yeah.
wouldn't even really do anything to it, honestly. But yeah, that's gonna be it for the H section, just Honda and Hyundai. So on to the one I. Now I'm really interested in seeing what you think of
Oh
this one.
boy.
So we're gonna be on Infinity, and
Next.
or just
Kidding.
watch your mouth, or just watch your mouth. All right.
Kidding. Oh, you want me to lead this one off?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Uh so all right. I think I've come to a decision. Q60 Red Sport 400.
I dig that. I can absolutely dig that.
Because that's when they finally got the VR30 right. I mean, the VR30 when it first came out was just like plagued with the reliability issues,
Hmm.
and I feel like when the Red Sport came out and they revised the motor and put better turbos in it, it made it 10 times better. And I think it was a good alternative to people who couldn't afford a GTR to get something that was similar. I mean, it's probably the closest to a mini GTR we'll get because I mean the Q60 has a VR family motor. It's all wheel drive. It's automatic only, unfortunately. And
Which their
you know,
automatic is pretty good. It's
yeah,
not gonna be it's not gonna beat any DSG, but with a slight trans tune,
they're
I'm
quick.
sure you can turn up the pressures and make it into something pretty cool.
Yeah, and I've just always liked how the Q60 looked.
Dude, yeah, it's when I first saw the Q60 when I mean, I owned the G35 and everything, but I saw it at the I think it was the Infinity Lounge in a baseball game one time, and I saw it sitting in there. And I was like, "Holy crap, that car looks so good with the silver carbon-looking interior trim."
Right.
It's a very impressive looking car. Yeah, whenever I think of Infinity, obviously I've owned a G35, I've owned the G37, and as much as I love those cars, and I love I the G35 styling was amazing styling in my opinion, like where they really started kind of going crazy, like or not crazy, but like they had a good like line to follow with styling, and that's when they started really designing better with the when it came to the G37 and then the Q60, they all followed after that.
Right.
And all of those bodies, the G35 was styled after the Skyline because the G35 in Japan is the Skyline.
Yeah.
Same with the Q50 and G37. You can look at the taillights and the hips. They follow that same line. They're
All
all
the way
very cool
through.
cars. They all look really good in my opinion. But I'd have to actually agree with you. I think I'd love to get a Q60 Red Sport 400. The look of the Q60 just lowered on some like slightly more aggressive wheels is all it needs. I don't even think you don't need a front splitter. You don't need a hood scoop. You don't need or vents. You don't need a spoiler or wing. The car already just looks so good. Um, and then it's I we've done we've got one at my work, done some suspension stuff on it, and it drives pretty crazy. Apparently, I mean, I can agree with you. I think I'd love to have one of those. That would be my choice because it's an all around good daily and fun car to have.
Yeah.
So I agree. I agree. But you thought I was going to say G35 or G37, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
I was actually
I thought the
considering
IPL
doing the
was
G.
about to come out.
Hmm?
I thought you were about to bring up the IPL.
Oh no, I was originally thinking of the G20.
Wow, hot take.
Hot take, yeah. The G20 is
NASR.
yeah, but they were they were one of Infinity's first like import that you could do, or not really import, but like tuner, you know, that you could kind of do some cool stuff with. And it
Oh, I
was front wheel
always
drive
liked them.
apparently.
I always liked them.
I like the look of the G20s. That's why I like them so much. But yeah, so that's gonna do it for Infinity and the I section as a whole. Now we're on to the J's. Now that's gonna start us off with Jaguar.
This one's gonna be
Jaguar.
quick because there's really
Jaguar.
only Jaguar. There's only one Jag that I actually like, and it's the XKRS. And I
That's
say
the
that
sedan.
no, that's the two door. It's a two door sport, like super sporty version of the XK.
What year did that come out?
It's like 2012, something like that. It,
Let's see, so XKRS.
yeah, they look, especially in blue, look really good. Now I say it's the only Jag I like. That's kind of just me being facetious because I actually, my mom almost bought me, I think it was XJ or S Type. It was an S Type R, um, early 2000s Jag V8 car. My mom saw it one day online. She went and looked at it, and she was like, "I totally would have got it for you if we had the money at the time." And that'd have been sick, having a supercharged V8 for my first car, but
Yeah,
didn't
that
work out.
I actually saw one recently on the road, and it's a very good looking car. I was pretty surprised and
The
very
S
tasty.
Type or the XK?
The X, the XK.
Yeah,
I saw it. It's very styled. Almost looks like a Aston Martin.
a little bit. Yeah, they do
In
have that.
styling.
They
Yeah,
were
because
owned by
that's
the same
when
company.
Ford owned Aston Martin
And
and
Jaguar.
but for me, I choose probably a hot take on yours, on what you're probably thinking. It's going to be the 2019 Jaguar XESV. It's going to be the sedan that's very
Really?
track oriented. Do you know what that? It's got the wing
Yeah,
and everything, the wider
it was called
fenders.
Project 7 for a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now it goes for about $187,000. So
Shoot.
I wouldn't buy one for
Yeah,
that kind of money,
that's
but
RS6 money.
yeah, I'd rather. There's so many other cars I'd rather have, but that car, yeah,
It's
I've
a good
always thought the
choice, I
sedans
guess.
look pretty cool, and that one's probably my favorite one out of all the sedans that they offer. So, all right, the only other one that I can think of for J is going to be Jeep.
Pass.
You sure you don't want to do
Pass.
the? All right, all right, all
Pass.
right, all right. We'll pass. Pass. Okay, so we're on to Kia.
This one's gonna be short, Stinger.
Yeah, I was about to say the Stinger is probably the only one I can think of. So.
Stinger GT is really
Uh,
good.
Yeah, Stinger GT. Now we're gonna go on to the last K of the section, which is gonna be Koenigsegg. I don't know any of the
Uh,
names for Koenigsegg, but I know
trying to
they're making
remember the
really
first
fancy
one they ever
cars.
made. I think it was called the CC8.
Let me look. Let me look.
I think it was the very first car they made, but I liked that one. I know,
Koenigsegg
hot take,
CC.
the 101 and the Rivera, whichever one it's called. Like I prefer the old school one, the OG Koenigsegg.
Yeah. I like the the CC GT. It's like a Group 3 style,
Yeah,
but I'm pretty sure that's more of a race car. So I'm gonna keep it simple. I'm gonna go with the CC8S. It's 2002. Um,
easy peasy.
yeah, pretty simple styling before they started really going crazy with the styling, and it was like one of the OGs of that modern look. So
I
yeah,
got some interesting ones coming up next.
yeah,
I see the big one.
yeah. Wait, are you talking about for cars that we're gonna be talking about?
Yeah, I see our halo of this episode coming up. It's gonna be the easiest one of us all, probably. I don't know. We actually had a discussion about it.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
We'll save that. We'll save that for when we get to it.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. All right. So now we're on to the eight. I'm sorry, the eight, the L section, which is going to be starting us off with Lamborghini. Now, I have so many different Lamborghinis that I actually like. Obviously, it's kind of like the same with Ferrari, where the newer ones just don't do it for me. I think everything that was Gallardo and Murcielago and earlier were the best Lamborghinis. After that, they just kind of started going down for me. Maybe the Aventador, but that's also a little much, in my opinion. For me, I'd have to say the God, it's gonna be a hard choice. Jordan, you let's see what you think. While I kind of make a decision actually.
So Lamborghini is great. I mean, they've got plenty of good cars. I think honestly, outside of, like the Jalpa and like the LM002, Lamborghini's not made a really bad car. Um, I'm going to go with though the original Gallardo when it first came out because for some reason it sounds like a car we're going to talk about later. And they changed the firing order on the Gallardo a couple years later, which is when it became the more signature Lambo V10 sound in the later Gallardo. I think it was like the LP580 or whatever it was called. Um, and while the
Yeah,
Mercy does take precedence because it's also an excellent sounding car, I just prefer the sound of the early V10 Gallardo. You know what I mean? It's like once they facelifted it and changed the firing order on it and moved to the, I think it was the 5.2s when they went to that.
yeah,
Um, they ruined it, in my opinion, and that's when the Mercy stepped up over it. But I think if we're looking at the same time period when the two were introduced, I'd take the Gallardo.
okay, yeah. I was actually thinking about doing the Gallardo, and it was between the Gallardo and the Murcielago for me. I was thinking about doing. Now I know the Gallardo Superleggera is gonna be the one that's facelifted or that had the firing order change. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Yeah, I love the styling of that car. The Gallardo as a whole, I think I would have chosen honestly to stick with an earlier model though, because I do agree with you on the whole firing order thing and how they were before. Everything about them, the Gallardo was just a car that I really love. But I actually decided with a Murcielago, and it's going to be the LP674 SV.
I figured
Um,
that's where you were going with that.
that Murcielago is, I think, I don't think I've actually driven it on a game. I've never seen one in person, obviously,
Yeah, they're
because,
super rare.
but um, the Murcielago alone just already just you can get them in a nice, almost like bronzish gray color that just for some reason stands out to me. And it just means whenever you see that car, that's a car you don't see often, like hardly ever. When I saw one at Cafe and Octane, and I saw the wheels it had and everything, it just looks so good. And plus,
Right.
they have that signature bat ear that lift up whenever you're
Yeah,
going
the air vents on
the
the back.
inductions. Yeah, that was so cool. Whenever I would drive one on Midnight Club Los Angeles.
Yep. Midnight Club 3 for me.
Yeah. So yeah, no, that's the one I'd have to go with. It's just such a signature car for me. And that was one of the last greatest of the Lamborghinis before they
Right.
started kind of going a little meh. All right, so now we're on to the one we're probably gonna have to fight in person about. We're on to Lexus. So Jordan, let's get your Lexus choice.
All right, all right. I got this. 2012 Lexus CT200H.
Whoa, hold what the what?
Kidding. Why would anyone choose the CT200H as the best Lexus?
I was about to look it up like I've never even heard of that.
It's a Prius hatchback, effectively. It looks
Yeah.
good. I like
I
how the
actually okay, yeah,
CT200H
yeah,
looks.
yeah,
It's a
that's
good
right.
looking car, but
That's
that's
right.
not my actual choice.
I was about to say I do
Cop
like
out
that
of the
too.
century. Cop out of the century, the LFA. Specifically, the Nürburgring package LFAs. With the wing on the back, the more aggressive front end. In my opinion, this is probably going to be a fanboy opinion. People are probably going to say LFA is by far the best car to be ever made. It has its flaws, like not having cup holders and having a seatbelt that's not very obese friendly, but the car is perfect in every other way. The sound, the looks, the trackability, the just everything. And it was the most experimental car Toyota ever made. And I think they knocked it out of the water, with the exception of it not having cup holders and an easier to put on seatbelt. outside of that, I mean, it was great.
Okay. So Jordan and I talked about this. This is kind of what made us really want to do this video is because we had such a big disagreement on this. And as much as I like the LFA, I do think it's a little bit overhyped. I mean, it's a good looking car, and like he says, very experimental. But I mean, it comes a point where it's like there are other cars out there I'd rather have. And while Lexus has only really two cars that I can think of that I think are of that, well, honestly, that's the only car of that tier of that is in Lexus. That's like God tier. But it's a car that I wouldn't want to drive as much as cool as it is. I wouldn't want to drive it. It's such a rare car.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I choose the RCF Track Edition. Um, and as much of a downer that probably is to like
Your opinion's wrong, by the way, but I'll take it.
as much as a downer that is to some of the people, and that might make some people like either unsubscribe or not want to subscribe.
I'm triggered, but
Uh, the reason why I chose it is just because that car, RCF just really started like catching my attention lately, and I'm sure at some point all of these choices that we're choosing right now are gonna change. We're probably gonna find one that we may choose that we may think is better, unless it's the LFA for you. I know that's probably not
yeah.
gonna change, but um the RCF Track Edition for me just stood out, and I watched a video of it tracking against a new Supra that's been modified for track use, and the Supra did better, but the Track Edition RCF still held its own, and obviously it's more expensive. I think it's still, I don't know, just I love the way it looks, the way it sounds, the V8 noise. I just love it. It's just a very cool car in my opinion. Um, So that's my choice. Mixture of luxury and track right there. So on to the next. We're gonna go to Lincoln.
Pass.
Yeah,
Boring.
I don't know any Lincoln that I really care for. So
Me neither. I mean, Lincoln never
so
made a performance-y car that was really
yeah,
breathtaking. It's a very
pretty,
NPC brand, I guess, is the best way
I'm
to
pretty
put it.
sure I'm pretty sure Hennessy turned one of their like trucks into a pretty
Like a
bad truck.
Navigator.
Yeah, something like that. But that's Hennessy. So now we're on to Lotus, which
That's
he
another
and I
hot
also,
one for me and you.
yeah, that's a pretty hot like choice difference. Go ahead and let them know what you think.
I'm gonna go with I think it's called the Evora GT400. It was kind of a last hurrah for the Evora. I know they're still making it, but just overall, Lotus is just really interesting to me because they are a manufacturer that somehow made the most mundane engines from Toyota outside of the 2ZZ, which is great. Into a performance engine like the Camry V6. Like people that look at that thinking that is a performance engine, but Lotus made it a performance engine with the Evora, and I think the
Hmm.
GT400 is perfect. It has the most odd starting procedure to crank it, but once you do you've got a perfect car, and I would not mind owning an Evora one day.
Yeah. I'm looking at their car lineup right now, and their 2013 Lotus Esprit or whatever the heck you want to call it, prototype looks like a Lamborghini Gallardo or a Huracan's like
Well, that
wannabe.
was a concept, though.
Yeah, I know that. I was like,
I know the
that's
Esprit would be a
crazy.
pretty good choice, though.
Yeah, but no, I'm just looking through theirs. I know a few of them. Ooh, like the '97 Lotus Elise GT1. Dude, that thing is so
Yeah, that
cool.
thing is wild.
But I'd have to go with the Exige. I don't know exactly which Exige, just because I don't know all the trims that well. But
Yeah,
as much as I like the Evora, the Exige was the one that looked like you could do some stuff to it and it not cost a fortune. Whereas the Exige is pretty exotic, um, up there in price kind of car. Yeah, the Evora. Did I say that right?
yeah, you did.
Okay, cool. Yeah, the Evora is like that. Whereas the Exige, it's smaller. It's got the four-cylinder out of the Camry. Is that right?
The
Camry
Exige.
four
I don't think
cylinder,
it's the Camrys. I think it's the 2ZZ.
the 2ZZ, which is a
Really good motor.
which yeah, I'm pretty sure
It's
that's the Yamaha made motor.
The Celica GTS. I think it was made by Yamaha.
Yeah, that's the Yamaha made motor, and that's
Yamaha and
a
Toyota just seem to be the ultimate combo. Like the LFA motor too. That was a Yamaha
um
collaboration.
Yeah, and I actually recently interviewed a guy at Cafe and that same Cafe and Octane video where I interviewed people, and he had a Vora GT, and I mean that car looks sick. It looks amazing. He had a lot to say about it that like made me like think like, wow, it's like a good car. But the Exige is just smaller. It's more compact, more nimble, and it's still for the lightweightness of it. It doesn't need anything more than that 2ZZ or you 2ZZ 2ZZ.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2ZZ. Okay, I couldn't remember. I don't know why my head's all over the place right now. So yeah, Lotus Exige is my choice for that. Um, Now we're on to a brand that I'm sure you're not too big on. I'm actually pretty huge fan of them for what it is. Just a few of their cars though. It's gonna be Maserati. Uh, I didn't miss any
Yeah.
confusion.
We
Yeah.
skipped over Land Rover, but it's okay. I was gonna
Uh,
pass it anyway.
is Land Rover? Yeah, is Land Rover still a thing? I was looking for
Yeah, they
Range.
are.
Land
Range
Rover's the
Rover
brand.
is a Land Rover model.
Okay, yeah, I didn't think there was gonna be a car we'd choose anyway. So,
Pass.
but yeah, so we're on the Maserati. When it comes to Maserati, it's between the OG Maserati GT, the Gran Turismo.
Yeah.
That car it had the same V8 that was in the
8C
same Ferrari V8
specifically.
that was in the 8C in the
Yeah.
California. It was
But
just made slightly different.
yeah, the Ferrari Californias was flat plane, and the 8C and Maserati were cross plane.
That's what I thought. Yeah. So, um, I heard one in person, and they sound amazing. They
Yup.
have a very good look to them. I like that, and I also like the MC
MC12.
12
I
and
knew where you were
MC
going with that.
20. I love those. But if I were to get one for just an all around car, I'd probably get the OG Maserati Gran Turismo.
So my choice is extremely similar. The only difference is I would choose. I think it's called the MC Stradale version of the Gran Turismo. It's like the
Mhm.
more track-oriented version of the Gran Turismo. Like you said, I mean it's probably the best car Maserati's made in the last few years. That wasn't the MC12. Um, but the reason I choose it is as Casey said, I'm not a big Maserati fan because the Ghibli and the Levante, however it's pronounced, they kind of just took Mopar products, and as y'all have heard before throughout this whole thing, I'm not a big Mopar fan, and it just seemed like they cheaped out so hard on the Ghibli and the Levante.
Yeah, and
So the
the reason
Quattroporte
for
is
that,
cool and all. The older Quattroporte is cool and all, but I'm gonna give the Gran Turismo MC Stradale the edge.
yeah, and I was gonna say the reason for that for them using Mopar products is because Mopar is owned
Owns them.
by Fiat or owns Fiat.
They used to be owned
And
by Fiat.
okay, well, so Mopar owns Maserati, and Maserati is a part of Ferrari. So don't they also
Ferrari's
Ferrari?
on its own now, but it used to be a part of
It
that
is
group.
okay. I thought yeah, because I knew Fiat owned Ferrari and Mopar owned Fiat. I thought something like that. I don't know. They've all been in the same boat. There, some sort of orgy going on there. But yeah, if I knew more trims and stuff like that, I probably would have chose that same one just because of track edition. But just a straight up GT for me is gonna be the choice. Very cool car, very classic. Just what you want out of Maserati before they started dropping some poo poo cars.
Yeah.
On to the next brand. This is a one that we both know pretty well, and that's gonna be Mazda.
Yep.
Uh, Mazda is gonna be a pretty simple choice for me. And when I think of a Mazda that I would love to own, it's going to be the Mazda RX-7 FD. It's straight as that.
Yeah.
Don't need to be any crazier than that, really.
So I'm gonna make Michael here very happy for my choice for Mazda because I'm gonna go with the Mazda Speed 6.
I can dig that because I
It,
like their
it,
Speed
it
6.
did make him very happy. He glared at me. But the reason I chose the Speed 6 is it takes the good parts of the Speed 3. The Speed 3 is great, right? You've got a really good motor, you've got a really good styling, you've got a pretty solid interior. It cranks up to 11 with the Speed 6. I mean, you get all-wheel drive. And sure, the Speed 6, it doesn't have the legacy of the RX-7 or the RX-8. But in my opinion, it's like I'm too scared to own a rotary to own either of them. You know what I mean? I've wanted an RX-8, but I've just been too scared. It's like in the Abarth 500. I love them, and I want one, but I'm too scared to actually pull the trigger and purchase one. Uh, and that's the RX-8 as well. And so I mean that's why I didn't choose the RX-7. Is the Speed 6 is a Mazda I'm not scared to own. After that, it would probably be the NC. Hot take. I love the NC Miata. Around it was built around the same time. But I'm gonna give my overall edge to the Speed 6. So yeah, Michael's happy now. But that'll be my choice.
Nice. Yeah, I can dig that because I really love the styling of the Speed Six and the all that has all wheel drive and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
all-wheel drive is a cheat code, as Michael said earlier when we were talking
Yeah.
about the Speed 6.
So good choice. I'm sure mine was like cop out choice, but that's just a car I've actually wanted to own for a
Yeah,
while,
I
and
love
it's
the
just
RX-7.
the
It just scares me.
styling of it is just beautiful.
Timeless.
R7s look so good. So on to the next one. It's gonna be McLaren. McLaren is got so many cars that are just really cool.
Yeah,
Especially if you think about the F1,
yeah, the OG.
the OG. You've got the 720S, which is crazy. I've been in one. It's very fast. They've got a lot of really cool cars. I'm currently trying to look at for the name of the one that I was going to pick because it's skipping my mind right now. What a
I feel like if you're having a hard time remembering it, we're probably gonna pick the same one.
Yeah, go ahead and tell me.
So
What,
my choice when it comes to McLaren, obviously the F1's a cop out in my opinion because it's a legend. It held the fastest production car record for a very long time before the Bugatti came along. Um, but when McLaren came back to building road cars in the mid 2000s, they did something just perfect to me. And I saw one of these this morning. I literally saw one this morning. I'm going to choose the MP4 12C. Hot take because obviously the 650S, the 675LT, the 720S, all the cars that succeeded it were technically better. But the 12C looks better to me because it doesn't have the same face as all the other McLarens did, or like when they facelifted it the 650S.
mm-hmm.
The sound was fantastic. I love the way the OG 12C sounded. I love
The
the interior
3.8,
layout. Huh?
the 3.8 V8 that it had,
Yes.
that small V8. Yeah,
Yes.
dude.
Which I think transferred to the 650S. I might be wrong, but I really like the 12C's engine, how it sounded. I like the interior layout. Sure, it's dated now, but I really like it. I think the 12C looks really good. The only thing I don't like about the 12C is how you open the doors. So they didn't have actual door handles. You had to swipe your hand on the door for it to open. And that drove me
Mm,
nuts just thinking about it. I was like, I put 650S doors on it if I could.
yeah,
But that would be my choice is the 12C.
that's exactly. I was trying to find it in their lineup because they just, I'm not good with brands that use numbers and letters as their car names. It's hard to remember that way for me. But yeah, no, the MP4 12C is actually a car I've been driving recently on, or I think it's the 12C, yeah, the MP4, whatever. I've been driving on Gran Turismo, and
Yeah.
that's a car I can say is my choice as well. It's just, it's when they really started popping off in the US,
Yeah.
and started bringing it back. And that car just, it's not a bank breaker. And you can still have a lot of fun. It's got a beautiful sounding motor, and it's one of the best styled ones before they started all using the same kind of headlight design.
Yeah.
Um, only the one I could say is the 720S. That one really changed the look of the car too. They really changed styling, but you have to break your bank to really be able to get that.
Yep.
So, but yeah, so that's gonna do it for McLaren. We're on to, uh, we're almost done. Don't worry, we're
Yeah.
almost done. We're on to Mitsubishi.
Wait, we're
Uh,
skipping Mercedes?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I totally. I'm sorry. I'm writing them down as I go, and I thought I already wrote down. Yeah, you're right. Mercedes, Mercedes, Mercedes. On to Mercedes.
I was about to say that's a legend.
Go
So
ahead.
Mercedes holds the distinction of being a part of the very first car. And I've seen the Motorwagen up in person. I think the patent Motorwagen up close in person before. It's interesting. It's definitely not my choice. But Mercedes has a very long list of really good cars. I mean, you've got the 190E, you've got the SLS, you've got the 300 SL, you've got the AMG GTS and stuff like that. But I'm gonna go for one that kind of started the modern Mercedes Halo era, and that's the SLR McLaren. I've always loved them. The only thing I hate is the transmission they put in them, but they did it on purpose because the DCT they had just developed couldn't
Hmm.
take it. The SLR was blowing up the DCTs they were using. So they used the 5-speed slush box. I think it looks great. The side exit was such an interesting concept, especially for a Mercedes product. And it's just a really good engine. I think it's the best one. I think the SLR is untouched.
Yeah, that's a really good choice. I was actually considering that one. It's just uh, as much as I like that one, the one I'm about to say is actually just, in my opinion, just I love the styling of it so much, and that's going to be the SLS Black Series.
Yeah, that's a good
Uh,
choice too.
yeah, it started the trend of what Mercedes is doing now for the AMG GTs and GTRs and all that, with the long nose. Well, I guess SLS started that, but the design is very similar to the new GTs on the SLS. Um,
Yeah,
the SLR started with, or is what kind of, well, I guess they've always done a long front, short
the
back.
300 SL started that. I
Yeah, they
think.
started that a long time ago, but yeah, no, I don't know. Anyways, the design trend of how it looks shape wise, in terms of the headlights and everything, is very similar now to the newest cars.
Right.
And that car is kind of what started for me, and I just love driving that car on Gran Turismo, dude. The Group 3 one, so cool. Um, that's the one I have to pick. Is the SLS Black Series. Very cool car. Um, Next up, we're going to Mitsubishi.
You're
Now,
just gonna
Mitsubishi
you
got.
skip over Mini too.
Did I would. Sorry, there's so many M's.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah, you're right.
Even
We
though
can do Mini real quick. You're
I,
right.
I feel
Mini.
like I feel like Mini, we're both probably gonna say the same car, but the John Cooper works.
Yep, John Cooper works.
All right, and now Mitsubishi.
Yeah, now Mitsubishi. So Mitsubishi for me, that's gonna be the God dang. I'm gonna have to say the you know what? Take it away, Jordan. Right in
Mine's
the
a pretty
top of my
easy
head.
answer because everyone who's ever known me knows my favorite Evo is the Evo 6 RS. It is plain Jane, steely wheels, only available white, didn't even have air conditioning. But that's what made me like it so much. It was meant to be an entry level option for the Evo, but in my opinion, it created also the most track oriented Evo. And sure, the TME RS is even rarer and even harder to find. But the OG RS is great. I have, in video games all throughout my life, I've one constant has always been I've had some sort of Evo RS model, whether it's the 6 or the 7. And the 6 is just my favorite. I've always loved them. I love the bubble front on the bumper. I know obviously the TME is better, but the standard RS has always been my favorite.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do the hot take here and go with the Evo 10.
Really?
Yeah, as much as I wanted to do the Eclipse and like the old Eclipse and
The DSM era
old,
stuff.
and the nice voice crack,
Thanks.
and the 3000 GT,
Yeah.
the Evo 10 is the last true Evo. As much as it changed, it still like kind of kept that similar style in terms of like the compact sedan that was still, you know, good in performance. And I mean, seeing that car with a Vars kit on it, bro, that thing looks so good. So
Yeah.
I can't go wrong with an Evo 10. That's all. I've always wanted one, so that's my choice. Now we're going to go on to Nissan. About said Nismo. What are you
I
thinking?
I think this is gonna be one we're gonna be almost a close call on agreeing on. Um, I you know what I think I am gonna agree with you on this one. R33,
R33
the GTR. I'm gonna be a bit more specific. I'm gonna pick the Nismo
V spec.
400R variation
Oh, actually, yeah, you're right.
because that's a
I
savage
was,
car.
yeah, I was actually thinking about that. I was trying to think of the different trims they had for that, and now that I think about it, the Nismo 400R, I actually have a paint job for that on my car in Gran Turismo for the
Yeah,
R33. It's so that
it's
thing is so
timeless.
cool. You can't go wrong with a 400R R33. Yeah, no, that I 100% agree with you on that one, dude. Good choice. This one, we may differ on. Pagani.
We skipped Opel.
Did we? When I
Granted,
was looking,
Opel is kind of NPC-ish, but there is one car that sticks out, and I
yeah,
think we should highlight it very quickly.
okay.
Um, I don't know if you know this car. It's called the Opel Speedster.
I think I do actually. Are they
It's
still around?
yeah.
Okay.
The Opel
Okay,
Speedster is
I see it.
iconic. I,
It looks
I
like a Lotus almost.
it's based on the Elise chassis, but they put
Yeah,
a GM motor in it.
I
Um,
could go with that.
I think the Speedster Turbo's got the same engine the Cobalt SS had. I might be wrong. No, I am because it's a 2.2 Ecotec. That's right. So it's not the same as the Cobalt SS. It's another GM Turbo 4 they stuffed in the Opel Speedster. But I
Yeah.
figured we'd highlight it because I feel like Opel gets left out a lot and stuff like this, but that's because we don't get them here. So I wanted to make sure we at least got to cover the Opel stuff.
Yeah, no, I didn't mean to skip over. I
No,
just
I know. We
when
just don't get them here.
I thought that brand wasn't around anymore. No, looking at the Speedster, that one's a cool one. I definitely probably choose that one honestly because it's the
Yeah.
only one that actually stands out to me.
All right, so we're
Okay,
back on Pagani, right?
now on to Pagani. So this is gonna be pretty simple for me. It's gonna be the oh wait, it's not a road car. I
What
was
were you
gonna do
gonna
this
pick?
Zonda. I was gonna do the Zonda R, but it's not a road car.
Yep, Zonda R is not a road car.
Freak. Hold on, let
The
me
Tricolore, I think, is based on it. Either the Tricolore or the Cinque. I can't remember which one it is.
Colore. Looks very similar. Yeah, it's got that.
I want
Very
to say
close
it's the
to it.
Tricolore.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. Okay. If that's the closest I can get to it, then I'd have to do the Tricolore. Pagani is just a brand that I've actually been really liking, especially a
I've
lot lately.
always loved Pagani.
Yeah, they're the one exotic like Italian brand that like said, you know what, screw you guys, and like when he did his own thing, he's just in a whole different league than
Right.
Lamborghini and Ferrari, even though Lamborghini is now German. Um, yeah, Pagani, dude, that guy is so I don't know, he's a stud.
Yeah.
You ever see that man?
Horatio Pagani.
You better kiss his shoes. Yep, you better kiss his shoes.
So one thing I love about Pagani is how history has repeated itself twice. Lamborghini only exists because Enzo Ferrari was a jerk to Mr. Lamborghini.
Mm-hmm.
Pagani
And
happened the exact same way almost.
but with
I don't think
Lamborghini,
yeah, I don't think Mr. Lamborghini was a jerk to Horatio Pagani, but
he just
Pagani
wouldn't listen.
left Lamborghini to create Pagani. So it's kind of a similar concept.
Yeah,
Um,
they just wouldn't listen to him about using carbon fiber, and so
yeah,
he's like,
that's
"All right,
right.
screw you guys," and then went and tried to do it.
And he did
They were
it.
like, yeah, they were like, yeah, it's cool, but we still want it to be cheaper. So he's like, all right, and then went and made his own stuff, and now he look at him now, dude. He's
Yeah, he's built some of the best cars in
insane.
the world.
That guy's awesome.
But my choice for Pagani is going to be in a similar vein, but I'm going to go a bit older. I'm going to do the original Zonda C12S 7.3. So the original Zonda didn't have the 7.3, but a couple years later they upgraded it to Mercedes 7.3 V12. And in
Yeah,
my opinion, that's just until the R and like the Tricolore and all that stuff came out, it was peak Zonda. And
yeah,
that's just still been my favorite, especially in yellow. I always have loved the original Zonda C12 in yellow.
yeah. I mean, dude, Pagani's as long. I mean, as well. I mean, I'm sorry. As much as they all look the same, if you think about it, they all are just very similar in styling.
Very similar design language.
You just cannot like those cars are just still amazing no matter what. There's something about each of them that's just amazing, and how much you can spec them to what you want. I love that. You
Right.
can really make it your own car.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, if that's your choice, this one's gonna be a good one to kind of, I guess, go over. It's gonna be Peugeot.
Yeah, Peugeot, that's an interesting one because I mean, that's another brand we don't get here. They're kind of the head of Stellantis now, so pretty much every Mopar product right now is kind of related to Peugeot. But all jokes aside, um, honestly, this is a hard one because Peugeot really hasn't made any cars that stick out to me. They're kind of, in my opinion, like they're the middle of my French ratings. I rate Renault, who we're going to get to later, I'm sure, at the top.
Yeah,
It's a hard choice. I think I'm going to go with the 205 GTI. It's a very classic Peugeot hatch. It was a part of the early adopters of the hot hatch genre, I would say. Obviously, the Mark 1 GTI started the Volkswagen. But the 205 was like a perfect response to it, and they did great. And I think the 205, I think it's called the T16, was
mm,
like a super rally car variant of it, was freaking insane.
yeah, yeah. I
Um,
mean, I don't know many. I mean, honestly, I don't know any of the Peugeots really, but right now for me, it's between the 2004 407 Silhouette,
mm,
but that one seems like kind of a one-off kind of thing. So I'd probably have to do the 207 R Cup.
that's a good
Uh,
choice.
Very rally influence. It's a coupe while still being a hatchback, and I mean that thing actually looks really cool. I wouldn't mind owning one if it was available here.
Give
I'd
it a few
probably get.
years.
Yeah, I'm not looking for it that much. Um, but yeah,
I,
so that's
I
gonna be
think
my
I know
choice.
what's coming up next because we're
Yeah,
skipping dead brands, so Pontiac's no longer on here. And
yeah. As much as I love the GTO, man, just
yeah, that was the
we're
rule.
on
No dead
we're
brands.
on yeah we're on to Porsche.
Porsche. Kidding.
Porsche
Yeah, there you go.
to
Okay.
Porsche.
I'm kidding. I'm not a stickler about that. Do you want to lead the
Limits.
way on this one before I go on my rant, or are you ready for me to go on my rant?
Yeah. Mine's gonna be pretty. As long as I can remember how it's pronounced. Hold on.
What are you looking at?
What is it? What is the Strassen version?
Oh, the yeah Strassen version. I know what you're
Yeah,
going with this. The 911
that's a road car,
GT1.
right? Yeah, the 911 GT1 Strassen version.
Yeah,
Uh,
Strassen version literally means street version. So
yeah,
yeah, it was a road car.
it's that is a one of a kind looking Porsche, if you ask me. As cool as the Carrera GT and the 918 Spider and all those are, this car it just screams to me, dude. I love the way this thing looks, and it's such a like I don't know the way they changed the whole body and still kept it as a Porsche. It's
Right,
cool. So that's why I'm choosing it. Straight off just looks alone, really.
right. So Porsche is probably my favorite brand to ever exist in cars. I think they've just done so many fantastic cars over the years. Again, it's a brand I don't think has ever done wrong. I even love their SUVs. I have honestly thought about getting a Macan S due to its relation to the new S4 and stuff like that, as an alternative, just to be a bit more fancy. But I think Porsche has just done no wrong. But I think, honestly, as much as I would love to pick the many 911 variants, the GT2 RS, the 991.2 stands out in this one, in this group. I am going to go for a Halo car, but I'm going to go for one that is controversial now due to the owner that unfortunately perished in one. But I'm going to pick the Carrera GT.
Mm.
Y'all seem to notice a trend. I have a thing for V10s, which I didn't realize until I've really just been thinking about it. I picked several V10 versions of cars here. But the Carrera GT is just an amazing sound. The sound is what always gets them. The Carrera GT, much like the early Gallardo and the LFA, has a very signature sound. And I just think it looks good. It was kind of the start of the center lock trend that Porsche has. And I think that despite it being kind of a downer in video games, I've owned one in a couple of video games, and it's always been kind of a downer. That's just always been my favorite Porsche.
Yeah. Porsche's got a lot of really like amazing cars, and almost all of their cars that they've made, except for maybe a handful, are really peak car. And I mean, the brand has not gone down. They have not had a peak. They just keep going up.
Yes.
Um, and they are the ones that started the whole sports car style, where most sports cars take influence from that brand somehow.
Right.
So when I say the GT1 Strassen version, it's because that's the one that stands out the most to me out of the whole lineup of
Right.
amazing cars. So you
Especially
can't go wrong
Porsche's
with
Halos.
yeah, especially that one. Just that one's just such a rare one-off that looks that they really did themselves crazy on. So that's why I chose that one. But yeah, I love Porsche and or Porsche. I can't choose when I want to say it the right way or the
Nah, I'm
wrong
not a stickler about it.
way.
I'm not gonna grill you for it.
No, I've actually caught myself. I'll say Porsche and then I'll say Porsche, and I just don't choose when to say it
Nah,
one
I
way or
get
the
it. I'm the same way.
But yeah, no, yeah, I've actually I want a Porsche one day, and see there I go. Yeah, I want one day, and it's just a whole lineup to choose from. It's hard to
Yeah.
choose, but yeah, that's a such an amazing brand. Next one, we're on to the R section. We're getting close to the end here, which is coming up soon. So we're on to Renault.
I
Let's
think
skip.
this is one that you already know where I'm gonna go.
I know where you're gonna go. I already knew what you're gonna go, so I'm gonna go ahead and say mine. And this is because I've actually been working on one on Gran Turismo, and I love how I keep basing all my experience on just a game, but
Right.
that's the only way I can with
For
the
some
cars
for
that
some
are available here.
brands, yeah.
Yeah, when they're not available here, that's the best I can do. The Renault Megane 265 Trophy.
It's a good one.
That car, I'm pretty sure is the same one that I've been driving. I know it's a Megane Trophy that I've been driving, but it's so fun and it's a cool hot hatch.
Yeah.
I really love the way they look, the way it handles and performs, the way it sounds. I mean, it's a good car, if you ask me. Now, if I got to experience one in real life or the one that Jordan's about to say, I might have a different choice. But that's just what I can say based off what I know. Um, Go ahead, Jordan.
All
Let's hear
right,
your.
my Renault choice is probably, in my opinion, the best car they've ever made, the Clio V6. Specifically, the Phase 2 update, the facelift they did in the mid 2000s. I
Yes, I do.
adore it. It
That
looks
was
way
nice.
better than the original. The fact that they decided to take a random NPC commuter car, rip the engine out of it, stuff it a V6 in the back, wide body the thing, and send it on its way is insanity. Who would go and be like, yeah, I want a Renault, but I want it to be mid-engined. That's not an Alpine. Like that car is just a complete disregard for physics. I
Yeah.
know, I know.
No,
Journalists have lambasted how bad it drives,
oh
but
yeah.
it's cool.
I recently watched Doug DeMiro's video on that car, and
Yes,
I was like, wow, I didn't realize how bad it is
to drive.
in terms
It's
of
rough,
driving. But and like how
but I
crazy
still
it is
love it.
that they like, left some of the regular in like it's literally just a body kit slapped on top of the OG body panels. Like they're still in there, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, no, that is the other choice I would have had if I didn't already have a choice, which was the Megane Trophy.
Yeah.
The Clio V6 Phase Two. Yeah, no, that's an awesome car. Very tuner, very crazy, just out of pocket styling. It's awesome. All right, I know you told me to skip over this one, but we're going to Rolls Royce. The Wraith. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
All right, cool. Now we're on to the S section. It's gonna be Subaru.
You want me to lead this one off?
Yeah, go ahead.
So the Subarus are one I actually like a little bit. I've wanted a Subaru for a while, but again, it's one in that group of cars I'm scared to own. Michael's over here making me laugh. I'm gonna go with the GC8 STI, the 22B specifically.
GC8 STI 22B. Let me see what that is.
If you just look up Subaru 22B,
Okay, okay. Yeah, the 96.
yeah,
That I love that. That's like the it's like an Impreza. Well, it's a WRX, but it's the
yeah, it's an STI, but
Impreza. Yeah. Yeah, no, I can dig that. I love the Impreza body styles where they're two door and stuff like that. Like just the old ones. Yeah, I'd have to. I don't know if I could pick a specific one like that because I don't really know that car that well. But I'd have to choose the OG Impreza STIs. That styling was amazing. They looked the best. I think they had a real background then, like they were really doing something then, because they were all part of Rally.
yeah,
And yeah, that's when they start. That's when they were doing the most crazy like trims, like he said, the GC8, which is the one that had the crazier, I guess, sort of styling to it with the I don't know, but you know, I'd have to choose a Impreza STI around that same era. That'd be my choice. So now we're going on to Suzuki. Now this one, we only get a handful of their cars here.
yeah. We never got the coolest of the Suzukis here.
Yeah, I don't know if there's other cooler cars of theirs than the one I'm about to say, but it'd have to be the modern Swift, or not the modern, but like
Wow,
one of the newer Swifts.
I didn't expect that. I thought I was fully expecting the cappuccino here.
That
I'm not
while
even
that's
gonna
a cool
lie.
car, while that is a cool car, I wouldn't be able to fit. I'm too
Yeah,
tall
you're
for
too
that.
tall,
And
giant.
the yeah, but the Swift, it's that hot hatch styling, you know, and I mean, they were trying to do something for being a kind of meh brand. And I made a pretty cool tuner hot hatch style one in Gran Turismo recently, and that's why it really caught my eye. I was like, okay, all right,
Yeah.
Suzuki.
My choice, I'm gonna go with one of their K car offerings from the late '90s, and people think it's pretty ugly, but I really like the Suzuki Alto Works, specifically in black with the little stripe package they offered on it. This is great. It's slow as dirt, but I really like them.
Alto Works.
Yes.
I gotta see what that looks like. Oh, like it's almost like a tiny minivan.
Yeah, it's like a little square guy, but they're
Yeah.
legal for importation now, and I've been kind of debating on trying to see if I can import one at some point.
As much as I would want one, if I were to get a key car, or a K car or whatever, it'd be the Mazda
Though
um
the AutoZam.
AutoZam. Yeah, I get the AutoZam. That one is just so much cooler than all of the rest, in my opinion. They went crazy with it for that one.
Right.
But yeah, that's gonna do it for the S tier or S not tier section. We're on to T. So T's gonna have three. We're on Tesla. I'm
Pass.
gonna say the okay. Yeah, I was gonna say if I had to pick, it'd be the Roadster. But yeah, I'd honestly rather not
I have a
have one.
distinct hatred for that brand, so yeah, let's
That's why
skip
I
that
also
one.
didn't include Fisker or anything like that. It's because
Well, Fisker's
true electric
dead.
cars. That's right. There aren't they Karma though?
Yeah, the Karma now, but
Yeah, same thing. So I
same car from 2010.
yeah, it's an electric car too. So cuckoo ass cars. We're going to Toyota. This one I've been thinking about all day. Like I don't know what I would choose for Toyota.
Yeah, Toyota, much like Honda, has so many hard choices because Toyota's built some really good cars. And the Mark IV Supra, for the longest time, has been a dream car for me. But as time has gone on, it's been
So to
slowly
realize
caught up with by its successor. I'm going to pick the GR Supra.
I was actually kind of on the same page there. The GR Supra just has proven to be such a crazy like moddable car. You can do a lot with it. You can make it trackable. You can make it show worthy, just like the Mark IV. But I think it's just something about that car having that BMW motor. As much as people think it's a BMW, it's really and truly tuned, like suspension wise and body wise, by Toyota. So it is a Toyota car. It just shares a motor. That car though, it's a badass car. You just there's a lot you can do to them, and I would have to choose that as well. It was either that or the Gen 2 MR2 like GTS or no, not I'm sorry, not MR2. The Celica with
The
the pop up
Celica
headlights.
GT4.
Yeah, with the pop up headlights. But I think I'd do the new Supra. I would you do it with the manual or the ZF?
I do manual, I think, on that one. I
I would
love the
do the
ZFs,
ZF.
but
I would do the ZF. Um, all right. One brand that you're probably going to be surprised. It's going to be TVR.
TVR, okay.
Still around. Yeah, they're still around.
Yeah, yeah.
Barely, but they are.
Yeah, they're barely kicking. If Tyler were here, our friend Tyler, me and him have talked about TVR ad nauseum. I'm gonna go with the TVR Tuscan, or not Tuscan, the Cerbera Speed or Cabrera, one of the two. Cerbera or Cabrera, spelt the same. Speed 12, super rare, and only I think this. I think me and Tyler said there's only one or two in the world that actually have TVR engines that are they're V12s, and they are bonkers fast. There's only a handful of them, but they're insane.
Yeah. When it comes to me, I'm pretty sure this is the Tuscan that I'm looking at right here. But yeah, it'd be the just regular old Tuscan. Um. Oh, I'm sorry. TVR. Oh wow. What the
The
heck is this?
Cigaris is pretty cool too.
The cigar is so crazy with the styling. Maybe that's what I'm looking at. Yeah, I guess it's the Cigaris that I'm looking at. Yeah, the TVR Cigaris. That's the one I'm looking at. Okay, I would do the TVR Cigaris. It's very wild looking. Um, their styling has always been crazy, and
Yeah.
yeah, that one just stands out to me, I guess. All right, now we're on to our last run of. Oh well, we're actually doing one that you're probably also not expecting. It's gonna be Ultima.
Ultima. I
Yeah,
really
you've
don't
never.
know a lot about them because they're a very track
I know
oriented brand,
nothing.
but I think it's called the Ultima GTR. I think it's like one of the only models they make. That'd be my choice.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Ultima GTR. It's that's I guess the only one I could really think of. All
I
right, now
think
we're on to the last. Oh wait, what?
I don't know what your first V brand is. But
Voxel.
okay. I was about to say I don't want to skip them
Yeah, no, I
because they're
checked
still
through. I
around.
was sure because yeah, Voxel is our next brand, and this is the last the third to last
Yeah.
brand. So God, I don't know anything about Voxel, bro. I know they did a lot of they did like the Chevy SS and all that, right?
Over there, Holden did the Chevy SS, but Vauxhall had, I think, a
Yeah,
variant
because
of it. The Vauxhall
yeah,
was the test bed for the GTO as part of that group.
yeah,
Holden was the full tester, and then Vauxhall got a port of it, and then Pontiac got the GTO here.
Maybe it's the G8 that I'm looking at. It's the
The
Vauxhall
G8 was also a part of that.
VXR8. Yeah,
Yeah,
the Vauxhall VXR8.
which is
Um,
the G8, and the Holden Commodore was also the G8 down there in Australia.
yeah,
RIP Holden.
yeah. I think I'm gonna do that. The Vauxhall VR or VXR8. It's like a G8 Pontiac G8 slash Chevy SS styled car. Looks pretty sick if you ask me.
So my choice is going to be kind of in line with the previous choice. So if you haven't been able to notice, GM has a pretty interesting thing going on in Europe. They got Vauxhall and Opel. So you heard me speak on the Opel Speedster earlier. Vauxhall had their own version of it called the Vauxhall VX220. And so I'm going to follow it up with that because that's my favorite Vauxhall is the VX220. So the same car gets mentioned twice in two different ways.
Nice. Yeah. Um, I'm gonna save one for last. Actually, we're
Okay.
gonna skip the Volvo. So
Interesting.
because I know the last one's gonna be like a pretty hot like topic kind of
Because
talk.
I, cause I own it.
Yeah. So let's save that one for last. Yeah, we're gonna go to Volvo. What's I know you've got a sort of taste for them, disdain, I assume.
It's a hard one because, like Kason said, I don't have an opinion on Volvo at the moment, and it's a hard choice. But I think I'm gonna go for a timeless one that I think was a bit slept on. The 850R, the old school wagon, front wheel drive with I think it was the first iteration of their Turbo 5. That'd be my choice.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Having a hard time finding one that I really seem to have the most kind of like for. But there was one I really had a crazy. Ooh, I think this is it right here. Hold on. Let me. Sure. The Volvo C30.
Yeah, that was gonna be my other choice. Was the C30.
Yeah, the C30. It's a cool little hot hatch coupe. Um, yeah, I mean, that's really about it. I mean, I don't really know much about them. I've never driven one. No, we did get a few of them here. I don't know about that specific one though, right? Did we get
Yeah, we
this?
did. We did.
Okay, had a bit of a wide body look to it, but yeah,
Yeah.
no. I think that'd be my choice for that. So, all right, this is gonna be the ender here. The end of the combo.
Right.
What's your choice when it comes to your actually can I give you my favorite Volkswagen?
Yeah. Yeah. I figured I'd give you lead on that.
Volkswagen?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for me it'd probably be the Mark V Golf R32 I'm sorry, yeah, not GTR. Mark V Golf R32.
All right. That's a good choice, and I'm going to talk about it. So Volkswagen is a brand that has been instrumental to my love of cars. I grew up around them. I grew up around some air cooled stuff. My dad had a plethora of Beetles, Carmen Gias, stuff of that nature. So I've always been around Volkswagen. I've always really liked them as a brand. When I was about, I think I was about 9 or 10, I got a hold of a copy of DSP Pro Street on DS, and that's where I was introduced to the Mark V, even though they'd been around a couple years by the time Pro Street came out. But I really love the Mark V. It's a really special place in my heart. Of course, I've driven a Mark 6 GTI. That's what ultimately made me fall in love with GTIs. I drove a Mark 7. I own one now. um, and I absolutely love the modern R models, the Golf 7R and the Mark 8R, of course. But I'm going to give the edge to the Mark V R32 as well, as it's become very known in our friend group. I'm a bit of a VR6 fanboy. I have full intentions on buying an Audi A3 3.2, which is the Mark V R32's Audi, cousin. Same chassis, same parts, same motor. It's just got an Audi badge on it because I want it to be a little bit different. Um, than owning two Volkswagens. But I absolutely love it. I love the VR6. It sounds great. It's got insane modability. The DSG is a great transmission. Biased, but you know. And of course, having all-wheel drive. I mean, that's just a huge win for the R32. And I think it just looks good. I think the chrome grille was a little bit of a miss. I would have done a blackout or a color match, but it gives it a little bit of contrast. But that'd be my
Yeah.
choice too. I agree with
Yeah.
you on that.
Yeah, I've never really been a huge like absolutely crazy fan for Volkswagen, but just recently, I've been getting into Volkswagens a lot more, and I definitely really like the Mark V Golf out of all of them. Been actually looking to hopefully find a Mark V Golf that's a GTI with the DSG. Hopefully a 2009 model, just because the newest one, I, I believe.
Yeah, they had that's when they introduced the EA Gen 1.
Yeah, so that's just the most dated one, but the Mark V Golf R32 is like the last time they included it with the VR6. Um,
Yep.
the after that they just kept doing the two OTs, and while they made more power than the GTIs, they're just you're just missing that sound, that
Yeah.
feel of the that grunt of the VR6. The Mark V just looks all around the best styled out of all of them, in my opinion.
Right.
As much as I love the modern, like I really like the Mark 8s. The Mark 7's a pretty good choice for me too, but Mark 5, just I love that kind of transition from what they were doing before the boxier look to the round look, where it really started taking a change. And I mean, yeah, most people probably think it's ugly, but I really love the way it looks. So that would be my choice, and
I
glad
think
we
that
could agree
covers
on the
them.
last one.
Yeah.
It's
Then that
pretty good.
covers everything now, right?
Yeah, we've hit the final one, which was Volkswagen, so that's gonna be it. I know this one's gonna be long. Like I said, this is supposed to be sort of like a podcast style, so it's gonna
Yeah.
be a little bit longer than your average video, which is why it's not very heavily edited in any way.
Right.
But yeah, that's gonna do it for our first podcast. Like I said, I'm Case. I'm from the Lazy VQ YouTube channel. You can find this video on there to listen to, or you can go to Jordan Adamson's YouTube channel. It's Jordan Adamson, or go to the official Jordan Adamson on SoundCloud, where you can find the audio file for this as well.
Right.
Listen to it while you're driving. Listen to it while you're at work. I know we're not very well known, and we probably need to work on some other conversations, but I feel like this is gonna be a good one to start off with, going through everyone and choosing our
Absolutely.
favorites. Had a lot of fun. Hope you guys enjoyed. Jordan, anything you want to say?
Yeah, just follow us on our social medias and stay tuned for more of this stuff because this has been fun.
Yeah. All right, guys. We'll see you guys in the next podcast.